You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. This has been a summer. I am very, very grateful and, just very joyful, to say the very least. There's been a lot of things happening in the world, of course, but there's always room for gratitude. I think sometimes people really underestimate the importance of being grateful. It's something that I definitely have worked on throughout the years, but really in my 30s has been a reoccurring theme in all that I do. I just don't really sweat the small shit as much. Like, I really don't. Like, the things that, frustrate me or annoy me oftentimes are just really problematic things. But, at the same time, I'm also remind myself that I'm one person that can make a big difference, but cannot make all the difference. And I've been looking at a lot of things that's been happening just in my, professional networks and people I interact with, and just a lot of stuff I've seen on social media. And there just seems to be this reoccurring issue that I think I feel like with at least my generation, with millennials and some Gen Zers, but really with millennials, is that I'm around all of these very smart, talented people who they're in a bright future. They got a bright future ahead of them. They're in a bright present. And they are oftentimes just shitting on themselves. And I cannot stand it. I really don't like to see people shit on themselves. I think, well, literally and figuratively, but still, you get what I'm saying. I don't like when people do it. I find it just, just frustrating, because I'm just like, there's this sense of people who love to perform like modesty and meekness. And I don't know what's worse, a person that's overconfident or a person that is just so insufferably, self-inflicting. I think the latter for me. If you would have asked me this like 10 years ago, I would have said, I can't stand a really cocky person. But as time has passed, I find the people who are just more, self-critical out loud, like overly self-critical, to be more, I don't know, annoying. And I get it. I get it that people think that this is the way to perform this sense of, they don't want to, they think that complimenting themselves is boasting. And it's like, well, you know what? I would rather you say nice things about yourself than beat yourself up in front of people, because it just kills the vibe. And I'm just starting to notice like that, at least socially, like my lip brothers, my real close lip brothers, like, we don't have those problems at all. There's enough confidence to go around in that circle. But when I go into certain professional circles that I'm in, I've just noticed certain people that just do it, and it's like an art. And I also feel like, do you really feel this way about yourself? Or do you feel like you have to do that to then open the door for people to then lift you up or compliment you? I don't know. I just find it very weird. I'm not someone who walks around saying I'm the baddest, but, facts, I always tell people all the time, sometimes what is understood don't have to be spoken. But at the same time, I'm very much self-aware of the things that I have achieved and what I plan to achieve. And I think more people should take the time to look at the things, how far they come. And so when there are ever times when I am in a rut or I'm a little annoyed or frustrated, I take a step back and just was like, look how far I've come. Look where I am at. Look at where I live. Look at what I'm eating. Look what I'm doing. I have someone that cares about me. I have friends. I have plans. I just can't sweat the small shit. And I think a lot of people, I just would encourage you, as you listen to this podcast, if you're listening to it in the evening after work, or you're on your way to work, take that time to just chill the fuck out. For real. Everybody just needs to just take a moment and just look at the things that are serving you and doing you well, and the things that are great. because the highly self-critical, that whole idea of, oh, I want to, this performance of being hardworking, this performance of this need to show some level of, discomfort. Who cares? Let it go. Like, I have just gotten to the point where I'm like, people are like, how you feel? I'm feeling good. I'm chilling. I'm good. Like, I really am. Like, I mean, are there things that might be annoying on the road? Yeah, but I mean, my overall disposition is just like, I feel good. Like, I am overall at peace. I don't have a major existential crisis. I'm not losing my home. I'm not, losing any limbs, fortunately. This is a wooden table. I'm grateful for my state of mind and my state of peace. And I think all of us, a lot of us who are acting like we're so stressed, I mean, take a step back and ask yourself and say, will it work out like it always do? Wasn't you stressing about something 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 13 years ago? Didn't you think it was going to be the end of the world when you were trying to get your bachelor's degree? Did you think it was going to be the end of the world to get into a master's program? Did you think it was going to be the end of the world to do whatever? Like, we always are on this edge. And I just sometimes think people need to take a step back and just look at, aren't we always in that perpetual cycle of an edge? Isn't it time to eventually just accept that things will work itself out, and that you are not in any environment where you are resourceless and in complete destitute? That there is some ability to. And I'm talking to people that if you are able to listen to this podcast, then that means you're in a place where there is opportunity and promise. You have a friend and a listener, and a speaker of that is me. You also have folks that out there who do care. Just came out from the dome. I don't know. I just felt that way. I just felt the need to say that because I sometimes see stuff on social media and I just am like, what is going on? Why do people talk about themselves in this way? But I digress. I digress. I just, soapbox moment. But yeah, just be better to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. We expect and demand so much respect from other people, but sometimes we don't give that respect to ourselves. Give yourself that respect. Give yourself that, peace and grace or whatever. But also be mindful of, just because you give yourself that does not mean that you don't still lack responsibility and consideration. Just want to put that out there. So if you listen to this podcast on Monday, then you know that my first day as the proud editor of Eater Philly starts. I'm onboarding this week, so I don't know how much content will be coming out from me, but I'm in. There's a new sheriff in town, a good sheriff, okay, not like horrible, problematic sheriffs, but there's a new editorial sheriff in town, and I'm looking forward to this. I've been, for the past month, just been mentally preparing myself, doing all the things to just get ready for this position. And, what's awesome about it is that I have been able to transition to a new position at Philly Mag, which came out over the weekend. I mean, so many of you all shared so much love. I am now the political writer at large for Philadelphia Magazine. And it's exciting. It's a promotion in so many ways. For those who are like, what is that? Never heard of it. Yes, I am the first journalist in the organization's history to have this role. The publication has never had this particular job, a role, or whatnot. They created the position. And of course, me as the inaugural person to hold it. And so, as political writer at large, I look forward to doing so many incredible things. But really, I'm going to be focusing on covering the city's political class, with lots of great long form profiles, investigative pieces, and packages that's going to be in the pages of the physical magazine. Of course, they're going to be online as well, but I'm really going to get a great opportunity to really dive in deeper into a lot of the issues impacting the city's political scene. You all know I've been busting my ass for several years doing this type of work, but to be able to have it more defined and to be able to have this level of freedom and autonomy to really go out and chase important topics and expand upon them is awesome. Every week, where to find me on City Council Live, talking about City Council, or of course, this lovely podcast. But for Philadelphia Magazine now, I am going to be taking that time to work on some really big stories. I'm working on something epic that's coming out in the fall, and that's all I can tell you. And it's going to really shake the table, no pun intended. And so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to really get a chance to just really do some deeper reporting. And I've always, I love investigative reporting. I love, profiles. That Ryan Boyer profile I did last year was nothing short than remarkable. And I really love that kind of writing and I really want to do more of it. And so while balancing the work of Eater, which is going to be, I mean, everything. I mean, food. I mean, that's going to be a weekly role. I wanted to make sure I made the time to do that, but also didn't want to feel like I was neglecting something that was really a part of my entire journalistic career, which has been politics. So I'm in a position where I'm leading, in two different newsrooms on two different topics, food and politics. That's really my life outside of my friends and family, is food and politics. I love food and I love politics. And to be able to be at two incredible publications that are allowing me to have a leading voice in those spaces, which oftentimes do not have Black faces, right? If you look at the food scene, the food journalism scene, the food media scene in Philadelphia and across this country, we're not there, Black people. We're just not there. And it's not because we're not qualified, that we can't do the job. It's just because there is a culture of whiteness that has created a barrier and a ceiling that has made it harder for Black journalists and specifically Black food writers to permeate into leadership positions and decision-making roles. And so to be the only Black food editor in this region, in a region that has so many Black and brown faces and culture, that says something about the state of food journalism. But that's something that I wrote about, 5 years ago for Philly Mag, Dining While Black, which had its fifth anniversary last month. So this has been going on for a while, and I was aware of it. And what a full circle moment to be in this position and be able to do this work now. The same can be said about politics. There is no senior, Black journalist covering politics on a regular basis in this city. There's commentators, there's columnists, but reporters and real, serious investigative journalism is not happening from Black writers in this region. And across the Commonwealth, okay, if you look at Pennsylvania across the board, you could count on your fingers how many different Black journalists are involved. Now I'm talking about writers, because TV, they'll get on TV and do a segment, but that's not their crux. And oftentimes they're having to read articles written by people that look like me to inform them of these issues in that work. So the writer's sphere, it's not there. You look at a lot of the lack of diversity, and this is a national issue, right? It's not there. And we're in a battleground state like Pennsylvania. It was time for me to challenge myself and elevate what I do. And I appreciate having the strong support of a publication like Philadelphia Magazine to really support that as well. So I'm excited. This is a very exciting week. These are some major moves. There are going to be some more surprises to come this week. And there's just so many great opportunities. And, I'm very blessed and I'm very fortunate. People always ask me, well, how do you get this? How do you get that? The answer is honestly, is just consistently being visible and being transparent and being intentional about what I want for myself and what I want for the communities that I cover. I think too often people underestimate the power of relationships and the power of, going out and letting people know. There's too many people that have great ideas that keep bottled up in their head. Well, scare money don't make money, sweetie. I'm just here to tell y'all, it's not. You really want to continue to put yourself in an environment with people that are doing well. When I look at my career, I didn't wake up one day and just became the editor of one of the most, influential food publications in the country. I spent many years, and many of y'all see it now, right? And I kind of almost shadow audition in a way that I am just personally fascinated about. Maybe other people don't care. Who cares? I care. I do this thing where when I'm really interested in something, I study it and I'm like, I get into it. I learn the DNA. I immerse myself into it, and I just sit back and I'm a learner. I'm a learner. I sit back and I just take notes and and educate myself. And then when I feel like I know enough or I feel competent in it and proficient, then I make the shot. I shoot my shot. I think that's how, for me, that's my strategy. It's always been sit and learn and soak in information and learn and just build relationships and connections, and then figure out with this passion and this interest, where do you want to go with it, and then shoot your shot. That's always been my word of advice. And it seems like people, I don't know, they don't do it right, or they overthink it. Just, I mean, like they say, like what Nike say, just do it. Like for me, after writing Dining While Black, well, before writing Dining While Black, I always loved food. Like food was like the story. This has been a 10-year love affair. When I first met my husband, we always went out to restaurants. And then I was impressed with the restaurants, and I read about them, and I was like, okay, I like this chef and this chef. And it was just almost like a personal like hobby of like going to all these restaurants, and this was how this was our love language. And learning about these chefs and learning about these restaurants, and I began to be a part of the scene in a way. And then the influencers came, and I found some really cool black influencers that was in the food scene that I kind of admired, and became friends with them. And then Dining While Black happened, and I wrote that, and that was just a cool opportunity, and that won really big national awards. And then I never left the scene, because after that I became family. Like everyone was like, "Yo, we love Ernest." They just wanted me to be around, and I just would go around and try different things and built these relationships. It just kept learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. And I was just like, and then it was to a point where people started to say, "Hey, I want to know where you eating." And then all my friends started texting me all the time, like, "Where should we go for brunch? Where should we go for this?" It's like I became almost like an expert. And then it became obvious that I wanted to do more and do more and do more. And when I started feeling that wall of like not being able to do it with everything else I had going on, I took a moment and said, I need to create space for this. Like I care a lot about this. If the opportunity presented itself, I'm going to shoot my shot the next time. And so the editor position was open, and I was like, yeah, this is, I feel like I'm ready. And I had some great encouragement. Actually, a friend of mine thought of it for me, and said to me, I didn't even have it under my radar. They just knew that I was interested in exploring the food scene a little bit more. And they just was like, "Hey, you should definitely apply for this." And I was like, I haven't applied. Listen, y'all, I ain't gonna hold you. I haven't applied. I haven't applied for a media job in, ooh, what, 2016? It's been like 7 years since I've actually had to formally apply. Like most of the time, how I get put in gigs, for those who are nosy, people just are like, "I like your writing. I'm a fan. You're interested in writing for us?" And I'm like, "Sure." I never had to give a resume. Just talent speaks for itself. Word of mouth helps. But in this role, clearly this was a serious senior role. I was going to have to apply. I did. Went through several rounds of interviews, edit tests, everything in between, and then got to the point where I was offered this opportunity. And I was so gracious and so excited. I like to challenge myself. It's going to be a different world, but I like that. I kind of like going into places where I don't feel like I know everything. Now, I need to know something, which I do, but I don't need to know everything, because there's stuff I want to learn and new people. And this is going to broaden my horizons. And I just feel like if you're in any industry, any business, your goal should be to broaden your horizons, make calculated risks, but broaden your horizons. If you're in a space where you're not meeting new people, you're not being, creatively uncomfortable, then you're not going to grow and build as a person or a professional. Like, it's real out here. Like I always tell all of my friends, whatever industry you're in, you should never be somewhere where you're completely comfortable. There should always be opportunities where you should do something that can scare you a little bit, like writing a book. My God, woo! That was daunting, y'all. In the beginning, I was confident that I could do it, and I did it. I might be doing it again, but I never wanted to be, I love the challenge of it, because there's something about it. Like I was like, how can I pull this off? And the great thing is it happened, but you got to take those opportunities, because that's how you get the gold. That's how you get the awards, the visibility, the praise, the friends, the relationships, new opportunities, the hope. That's how you get it, really, honestly, truly. It really is. You have to keep finding ways to, I don't even want to say reinvent the wheel, but just finding ways to raise the bar for yourself, and in a reasonable way, at your own pace, okay? But also don't be too slow, right? Like, for me, it's always been about elevation and creating opportunity in a way that makes me feel good. People always say to me all the time, "How do you have the time to do all this?" because I work for myself, I had to change my whole work structure and flow. Like I don't work in a traditional office. I have an office space downtown. And if y'all want to mail me fan mail and gifts, a lot of you all had asked me a while back, where can you mail stuff to me? DM me on Instagram. But there's a place for fan mail, and I get a lot of. I've gotten some. Somebody sent me something. Was it? I had a what was it? It was a gift card. That was nice. Thank you. And they sent me the gift card too. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have like 5 Friday, Saturday, Sunday gift cards that I have. My bestie Amanda got me one for my birthday, I believe, last year. Someone else gave me one as an anniversary present, and then somebody just sent me one for Eater. So thank you for those kind of gifts, donations, gifts. No, thank you. But no, yeah, I would just say, like in general, just get out your comfort zone, and just challenge yourself, in ways that are reasonable. But like I said before, like my work culture is different. I work from home. I work at my co-working space, office space. I work in different. Control my schedule, and I always tell people there are 24 hours in the day. And I'm not saying 24 hours a day means 24 hours of working, because I definitely take naps and I definitely get my rest in. I don't play about my sleep. I don't play about my sleep. I'm big on sleep. But I also don't think that sleep has to only be one time a day. Like take naps, people. Take naps if you can. If you can, I get it. I get it. But it's just I just wanted to create. I created a different work culture for myself so that I could be able to produce in the way that I do. Um, but I guess I can talk about that another time. But I have my own work flow and style that is unconventional, but it works for me. And I think everyone needs to find what works for them comfortably, where they can still be productive, social, healthy, and all of that jazz. So, yeah, that's how I do it. And I don't drink coffee and I don't smoke cigarettes. That's how I do it. But yeah, yeah, I'm happy about these two roles, these opportunities. I can't wait for more news. I got other stuff dropping. I can't say nothing yet. I gotta keep it on the hush. But I have somebody. I'm just grateful, because honestly, what it is that I look at it like it's a candle effect. You light a candle, and then you can light another candle, and the next thing you know, you got a whole room that's lit without any manufactured lights. You got a whole lit room because you lit one candle that led to another candle being lit. And then that candle lit another candle. And you just have to empower people. And then when you're doing good by people, people do good by you. People show that love to you. People open that door for you and think about you. And there's a lot of, I've been very fortunate that I'm in this season of reciprocity. I would say I'm in a season of reciprocity right now in my life, where a lot of things I did for people without any requests or any wants, just because that's what I wanted to do. I have found myself in so many situations where people have thought of me for things that I never even considered or even knew about. And that led to other opportunities. So I really want to encourage you, listener, that if there's something in your life that you're doing, or something you want to aspire to, or something you're thinking about, take some time to do the research. Okay. Let's educate ourselves, be a learner, explore, immerse yourself in the culture. Of course, we're going to talk about the Renaissance album, but I want to talk about how Beyonce, like she spent some time to immerse herself in what became, Afrofuturism and ballroom and dance. And she took that time and soaked up like a sponge and became a learner. Too many people want to be a teacher and not a learner. Everybody wants to be an expert. Sometimes in order to be a good expert, you have to be a good learner, because you have to learn first before you giving people advice. And so I have spent aspects of my career, even if other people don't know or see it, but like studying, observing, and learning certain things, and then getting to a point where I've exposed myself enough that I feel comfortable enough to step my foot out there and take the throne. No pun intended, but just do that, do that, do it, and be serious about it, and advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself. Don't let people. I mean, I get it, right? Practicality is important, but also fun and joy is too. So, just some food for thought. So, getting into this past week, I mean, I had so much going on this week. I saw Moulin Rouge with my bestie, Jamarcus. We went to go see Moulin Rouge at the Kimmel Center. A phenomenal show. It's still running at the Kimmel Center. Tickets are still available. Really good seats are available. I have officially found what my favorite seat is in the theater. I don't know what other theater it is, but the Kimmel Theater, I found my favorite seat in the Academy of Music. It is seat EE. Row EE. I'm sorry, row EE. And let me tell you why I like row EE. First of all, it's on the left side of the theater, okay? And something about the left side of the theater, I don't know. I feel like most actors go stage right, which is the left side of the audience, right? For whatever, and this is the theater, this is the thespian me that has never escaped. Um, so most actors when on stage, I notice that everything's oftentimes stage right, which is oftentimes again the left side for the audience. And so if you're on the left side of theater, you typically get more of the actors. No, most actors don't go the other side. If anybody who's going to musicals and plays a lot know exactly what I'm talking about. So from there, that's why I like EE versus I don't know what the other row is on the right. I don't know what they call that section, but EE on the left side is my favorite seat. Now the row, what I love about that row is that it's right on the side before you walk up the steps to exit. So there's a huge gap. And what that means is that if you're walking into the theater, you don't have to go over people's seats. So in other words, you get that front row experience without being in the exact front. Now, row EE is technically like the fifth row, but it's open, it's on the other end, and it's open space all around. So there's a breaking because this is the side where if you go to the theater, there's two big rows, and then which is basically the two big rows, so people in the middle can get out, right? And then the other side, of course, can get out. But what is also great about this other front row is that everything is open space because people have to go to the exits. So the exit on the main left and the main right and the back left and the back right, there's an exit and then there is the row. So you thinking about it, it's like cutting the cake. This is like the corner cake where there's open space on both sides. So in other words, my legs can breathe. I also get the opportunity to have my, legs be able to fully be stretched out. So I don't have to worry about, anyone telling me, excuse me, sir, but can you move this? Can you move that? You get that extra leg room. It's like being on a plane and you get that, if you're not, first class, you still get that, that's that midsection. That's the way I can describe it. It's the best seat in the house, in my opinion. But anyway, Moulin Rouge, the musical, is not like Moulin Rouge, the movie. The storyline is kind of similar, but the music they use is updated. The dancing, the singing, everything is just top tier. The acting is top tier. Everybody is bringing their A game. I can understand why I won the Tony, back in 2021 for best musical. I loved it. I loved the show. Very diverse, very colorful, lots of fun, lots of innuendo. Just a really good show. It's definitely for adults. I don't recommend children see this. This is not a children's musical at all. Nowadays I don't know what's for children anymore, but I recommend this this is for grown folks. Now, Lion King is next month, and I look forward to seeing the Lion King at the Kimmel Center. I have to say something. I have a confession to make. I've never seen the Lion King on Broadway or a musical version ever. So this is definitely long overdue. I know most of the basic theater folks, then this is like the first thing they see, right? This and Wicked maybe, or Les Mis. Like my husband saw Les Mis. He appreciates the theater, but he's not like a theater buff like me. But he saw Les Mis, he saw the Lion King. I'm like, well, he is also from Trenton, so Jersey gets to go to New York. Like I never had those. Now, when I was growing up, I saw like when they went on the national tours, I saw the musical. So I saw Dreamgirls, I saw The Color Purple, I saw Evita, I saw oh my goodness, so many shows I saw Wicked, of course. I saw all of these shows when they were on their national tours when I was younger, but I never saw them on Broadway in New York. So it's now I've seen some Broadway musicals lately, so I'm proud of myself, and I'm Kimmel was dope. So I am happy that I have seen some more shows, but that's been a thing for me is that I've this year has been just nothing but theater, musicals, plays. But I love it. I love live theater. Nothing beats it. I've made a personal goal, and I'm actually honoring that goal. My goal is I want to see more plays and musicals than I plan to go to movie theaters. Like for every time I had an itch to go to movie theaters, it hasn't been that often. But I've seen more musicals and plays this year than I have seen movies in theaters. And I don't know if it's because movies there's not been that many good movies that came out this year so far, if I'm honest. I know the fall Oscar season, that's when everything, spices up. But summer blockbusters have been weird, but we'll talk more about that later. But overall, Moulin Rouge was incredible. Highly recommended. I went to Kadira Tiki Bar, which is basically Uptown Beer Garden, but they now have a tiki cocktail space. Now, as much as you would think that this would just be a hot mess, I actually enjoyed it. I thought that the tiki situation was well executed. They are really on theme. So if you want to go up in there with a beach shirt or Hawaiian situation going, feel free to, because you will definitely vibe. They have drinks in these like fake coconut, the plastic coconut containers, and you can take them home. Apparently, I don't think they let you. I think they let you keep them, if I'm not mistaken. There's all types of luau's and floral, stuff. It's cute. It's very cute and it's fun. I feel like it would make a nice little fun little mini happy hour if you got a group of friends. I recommend you go with a group of friends. I don't recommend you go by yourself. I don't know if it's date friendly unless you and your date are youngish, like you're basically like under 35 and there's a cute little, you want to go out with your boo somewhere and have some drinks. But I don't think this should be a date situation. Like you should be in the relationship. Go here. Don't go here if you're not in a relationship with the person because this could be, Mr. Still Your Girl might be up in there. And I'm not referring to Trey Songz. I'm referring to like there are situations where I've seen a lot of dudes do this. Now I'm talking about the straights because the gays, we are different. We are very different when it comes to going out. Another conversation for another day. I don't want to digress too much, but the straights, if you're not in a fully exclusive relationship with the person you're with, I don't know who thought it'd be a good idea to go out to a bar, like a bar that you've never been to. You don't know the people there. Because listen, if somebody is single, they're willing to mingle. And, you go there and somebody else is cute and they see you in a situation, it ain't really yours to be out. No, nobody's really, official. So there could be a situation where numbers could get exchanged. I've been out with enough girls in my life to know I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I done seen it happen. I done been places and seen situations happen. Now, I'm talking from the perspective of being with my friends and seeing a guy with a girl that he was with and he pursue another girl there and he's like, I'm here with her, we just vibing, we're not in a relationship. Other girl interested, she like, well, give me your number. And then he done ran off with other girls somewhere. I've seen some things, been around enough to see it. So I feel like this is not that kind of bar. Now if you are a fiance and you're engaged like Joe and Amanda and other folks like that, shout out to my cousin Rachel. My cousin Rachel, who was at my wedding, she just got proposed to this past weekend. It just seems like everybody's getting engaged. She's getting engaged as well. She's engaged now, so it's like a lot of I just that itch. I always tell people like even when I got engaged, I remember a couple of my friends was engaged before I was. Like Kenji and Tiffany had just got engaged. I think they got. Did they get married? We went to a bunch of weddings. Yeah, they got married before I got engaged. So they got married. And then one of my other good friends, Bjorn and Rachel, another Rachel's getting married. They got married too before we got proposed. So like two. So it could be a third. You go to enough weddings, you eventually, hints be dropped. Because it's like I went to two weddings before I got engaged. Amanda went to two weddings of friends. Well, I'm the friend that got married. Somebody else got married too. I don't know if it's two friends, but like one couple got married, and then me, the bestie, got married. She was in that wedding, and then her mom got remarried, which was a lovely. They had a vineyard situation that was dope. I met her, and we chatted. Her mom is so sweet, but she likes wine. I like red wine. She likes white wine, but she likes all the wine. She respects wines, but she likes good red wine, Miss Barbara. So, but. Anyway, I started to say that she had two weddings prior to her engagement. And then I had two weddings I went to that was prior to my engagement. So it just seems to be a thing where, you get bitten by that. And Rachel told me she went to another wedding before my wedding or after my wedding. So maybe that's the thing. You start going to a bunch of weddings. I don't, let me see this. Here come my traditionalist self comes. I'm in this headspace where I just feel like if you get married, there are some couples that like to go to weddings and they're unmarried and they just love to go to weddings. I'm sorry, I can't just be out here going to all of my friends' weddings, and I don't got an engagement ring myself. Now, I'm not judging folks that do it, but it just become a thing where you go to everybody's weddings, but y'all don't have nothing going on. It just gets to a point where it's like, what you waiting on? What was going on? I mean, I'm not forcing anything on anybody. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, for me, speaking for myself, I could have only gone to so many weddings before I got to the point where I'm like, what we doing? We over here crying, clapping, happy for people, because we are happy for those folks. But at some point, the question becomes, well, what does marriage look like for us? At least the conversation got to come up. For me, it wasn't ever a conversation. I kind of had the Celine Dion, if you asked me to. Like, I just told him if he asked me, I would have said yes. You don't even got to wonder. Just you don't even got to worry about, will he say, will I, child, say yes. I kind of told him, it was never, we knew what we was going to do. Because my mindset was, I wasn't going to move in and live with somebody. And see, I'm going there. This is not that podcast, but I'm going somewhere. But I was like, I was not about to live with somebody and get a lease with somebody and not know that marriage was the marriage conversation, and understanding where that was going to go wasn't going to happen. Let me just say that. That's just me. If you listen to the show and you in some situationships and you're trying to figure that out, let me say this. People that want to move in and live in, talk about what that future look like first. And if that future ain't looking so bright, or it's looking a little ambivalent, you might want to reconsider how much investment and time you're going to be putting in a lease and rent and houses and mortgages. I be hearing people out here, let me stop. Okay. Because this is season 5 and I'm in my bag because I have some thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Maybe, Amanda told me I should do a special edition relationship podcast. Maybe I will do something like that. I have an idea, and I think I know when I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do it soon. Let me say that. I'm going to do it this summer. And I know who I'm going to do it with. I know how I'm going to do it. And I have an idea. So stay tuned on that tip. All right. So what else did I do? I did a lot. So I went to Atlantic City this weekend with Mr. Johnson. We had a lovely time at Tropicana. Y'all know we love to go to the ocean, but this year we did Tropicana. And I have to say, Tropicana is like the Vegas of Atlantic City. Like, I felt like I was in Vegas. And part of it is because Tropicana is owned by Caesars Resorts. So my mother's a Vegas girl. She loves Vegas. I appreciate Vegas. I went to Vegas more times than I thought I needed to in 1 year last year because she had her birthday. Then I went for a convention. I've been Vegas. I've been having the Vegas experience. So I've gotten very comfortable and familiar with Vegas. But I still had to say that, like, when you go inside Tropicana, you walk in there, you don't know when the sun is up and when the sun is down, because they really design it to make you feel like it's a bright day. Like, the way the light is, the sky is, it gives this very, like, chill, come through, it can be 7:00 at night, but when you walk, outside of a club or wherever you at, it can feel like the time ain't shifted, the daytime didn't shift. The only thing I can tell you is your body, if you have a sleep pattern, right, and your body's like, it's time to go to bed, right? But it was dope. It was a great hotel, great resort, great energy, great people. I feel like Atlantic City is back, and I mean that. I feel like it's back as far as the engagement, the investment. Like, I'm seeing people from all over. So yeah, I was really enjoying it. I went to this great spot called Wild Honey Barbecue. It's like a smokehouse. They have some great barbecue, y'all. Okay, I've been on my rib. Remember I told you I was on my ribs binge. I've been just eating nothing but, I love ribs. I don't know. Ribs are, I don't know what kind of ribs I'm eating, but every rib I've had this summer has just been great. I've not had a bad rib yet. Let's keep the good vibes going. They had a really great vibe, great cocktails, big old portions, great prices. I mean, their prices were really good for what we ate. We ate a lot, and we saved some for leftovers. And Mr. My little brother at Temple, I dropped some off for him, so he got a whole half chicken, got some ribs, he got some brisket. Oh my God, that brisket was so good. It was so good. Oh, so good. But we enjoyed ourselves. They even have breakfast there, and the breakfast was really good too. It wasn't like a eggs and toast or something. It was like real breakfast. What else? We went to the it was called the Royal, and that was dope. That was very dope. That was really nice. That was a really dope, like lovely nightclub energy. The Royale, I think it's called the Royale. And it was dope. They had these big ass cocktails. I got a 44-ounce martini glass cocktail, and it was some cocktail they made, and it was really good. It was strong, but it was fruity, which makes it a deadly concoction because basically you're like, I'm over here drinking this really strong drink. It's strong, I know it is, but it's so fruity and it feels right. Like, what could go wrong? Well, I drank that entire drink. Then Mr. Johnson got one in a big Texas cowboy hat that he didn't even finish. He's such a lightweight nowadays. But I was like, I don't believe in wasting, so I finished the rest of his. I had a really great night that night. It was a really great Saturday night, if I do say so myself. Um, Outside of Tropicana and Atlantic City, I also had some great lunches this week. I went to A Kitchen, which was fabulous. It's another Ellen Yin specialty. I went to Fork last week and had lunch. This week I had lunch at A Kitchen, which I'm happy that grown lunch is back on the menu. For a while, people was neglecting lunch, like good lunch, grown lunch, lunch at a restaurant, not just burgers and fries, but like a real lunch, like lunchtime. I feel like everyone's gotten really invested into brunch that people have forgotten about lunch. And I'm just like, we can't neglect lunch. Lunch is important. It's an important staple. You know what's crazy? I often skip breakfast. I don't really eat breakfast in the morning, but I eat lunch. Like lunch is like my day meal. I'm a 2 meal a day guy with snacks in between if I'm hungry for a snack. But I'm pretty much a 2 meal a day guy. And I have a couple of little in between bites or things in between. But I don't really do breakfast. I'm not geared for breakfast. Every blue moon, I get a craving for breakfast. And normally it's on a weekend. Like I want breakfast. I'll do breakfast 2 days a week. But most of the time, I'm not crazy about breakfast. I'm normally a lunch person. I get up in the morning, I'll drink my coconut water and everything, but I need, yeah, lunch is important to me. So when I hear people just like, oh, like when people hear me up, they're like, oh, you should get coffee. No, I don't do coffee. Let's do lunch. And there's some really great restaurants in Philadelphia that do lunch well. I love the Love. The Love has great lunch. Park is cool for lunch too in Rittenhouse. A Kitchen, Fork, High Street Provisions, it's a nice place to get a little sandwich. But there are some good spots in the city that do lunch and do lunch well. Oh my goodness, what's my Vernon Coffee Bar? Oh my God, that's all I do. Listen, if you want to take me out to lunch, take me there. That's one of my top. That's one of my top 5 lunch spots in the city. But I digress. Went there, fabulous time, fabulous food. Love Ellen Yin, love her A Kitchen. There is a new thing coming called the Old City Bites, which is in Old City. And basically they're doing these tours where they're taking people, well, they're not taking me, I did a tour to try it, to see how this works. But basically a lot of the hot spots you love in Old City, such as Amada, Posciano Coast, the Old Bar, what else am I forgetting on there? Cuba Libre. There's this really great Peruvian spot. Amina, which is that black-owned restaurant that's over there in Old City. Basically, you're going to these spots, you're trying their food. You go there and they have specials throughout. So let's say, for example, it's happy hours over, but it's like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and you still want a good discount or want to eat something. They have a menu that is curated and specially priced, where they have specially priced cocktails and appetizers and small bites that you can still get throughout the day. And it's not dictated by happy hour. So this is throughout the day. So you can go at a certain time and enjoy a drink or whatever and not feel the obligation of, oh my goodness, I need to spend my money on this. I didn't eat this, yada, yada, yada. So this is a thing. And a lot of people are feeling it. Like they're really loving it. And Old City District is pretty dope. But this is a concept that honestly, I hope, I know like cities like New York do it where they will put up a special, cocktail special that is like an all day drink special. But they're also doing it in other places too, and I'm noticing it. So I would say take advantage. So here's the thing. These are the details. It's been going on. It's every Thursday. It is 20 participating restaurants. They basically have half price small plates. They have these featured cocktails. They're providing all kind of ticket discounts on Thursdays if you're going to shows like, the Philadelphia Film Society, the Art and Theater Company. They're doing a lot of stuff with their scene. And it runs from apparently till August 31st, from 5 to 7. These restaurants will offer discounted small plates and cocktails and beers. You can go on their website and check it out. So it is almost like a happy hour special, but it's all at these restaurants, and it's really like focused on the food and these special cocktails. And they're doing it every Thursday from now till the end of August. So it's giving that vibe. I liked it. I went to about 4 spots, which I think that's intentional. Like I mean, depending on your energy, but like it's like almost like I don't want to call it a bar crawl, but it's almost like that, like a bar cocktail crawl. Well, you'll go here, you'll eat something there, and then you'll go around. But you can like make a little bar crawl of it, and that's kind of what me and my friends did. Um, so if you're into Old City and that's what you're into, check it out. I don't want to talk about Renaissance yet. I'm going to save that later in the podcast because that deserves its own conversation. Because, whew, I'm just going to say that. So let's move along. Donald Trump is suffering from a major defeat. And I'm not talking about with the feds. But you all remember he had a situation with the courts around the sexual abuse victim, E. Jean Carroll, who was the woman who, claimed that he sexually, assaulted her. Basically, the courts agreed to some aspects of her account of what he did. He was found guilty on some fronts. He is expected to be paying a settlement, restitution, I believe. And the Justice Department has announced that it will no longer defend him as immune in her defamation lawsuit. So this is a major defeat in his war against her. The U.S. Justice Department is not protecting him. There was a thought that he had immunity because he was a president, a sitting U.S. president. But they said that, I guess the decision is that just because you was a president does not mean that you get protected from like crimes that you do that are outside the scope of the White House or throughout the government. This is something he did before he was a president. This is something that he, has been accused of. And honestly, wasting taxpayers' resources to defend him at this point, no. But see, this is the whole concern I had with the Trump presidency was that many people argued, some great smart political analysis, people who said, could this man be using this seat to shield himself from other crimes? Well, for me, the answer was duh. But for other people, they're like, oh, really? So you know how it is. Not surprised at all that happened. Not surprised at all that it happened. But now it looks like it's about to get real because the U.S. Justice Department was able to shield some of that or provide resources to help him. Now that's not happening. So he is on his own. Speaking about people on their own, Ron DeSantis, okay, presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. I told you this was going to happen. Let me just foreshadow that. So, Ron DeSantis is running for president. He was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to defeat Trump. Looks like Trump ain't getting defeated, y'all. I told y'all, don't buy the hype. Everyone was like, Ron DeSantis is coming. Ron DeSantis is coming. I kept saying, this man has no charisma. He's boring. He's dry. It ain't happening. Well, he's failing so bad in the polls that even Fox News is smelling a loser in him, according to reports. People are, a lot of people are just not really into him. They're not interested in covering him. Allegedly, Rupert Murdoch, who was the big Fox, honcho over there, is not really trying to give him much coverage and press. There's already been chatter and reported in the New York Times that the DeSantis camp has started to let people go. Like basically, he is starting to let go and fire staff because the polls are going down. the budget, the money's not coming in the way they think it is. The polling he's facing is not serious. DeSantis is getting that ass whipped, and we're not even in 2024 yet. The primary hasn't even happened yet, and he's already been weakened as a candidate. So, they're riding with Trump, baby. They riding with Trump. The Republicans are still loyal to Trump, and Ron DeSantis has just been dropping the ball across the board. He did this really dumb thing recently where he had this really terrifying anti-LGBTQIA like campaign ad with laser eyes that were just really creepy and weird. And I just felt like it was just so mean. And even Republican gays, which I mean, there are Republican gays, but they were like apparently liking him and don't like him anymore. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't know. I mean, you know how people say, well, how are there black Republicans? I guess everybody has some type of political affiliation one way or the other. I just don't understand how you can say as a Republican gay that one, you supported Ron DeSantis, and then this ad was the straw that was too far. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it about Ron DeSantis that made you think that you could get his support in spite of everything he's done? I mean, even with Donald Trump at least tries to present himself as being more LGBTQI friendly, but like at the end of the day, this man creates laws that are like transphobic as fuck. So it's just like, I don't know how anybody who is LGBTQIA can actually think that the Republican Party is a party for them. The laws, the policy, I mean, it just simply says no, right? And there's people who really thought that they could convert or change or they can make an argument. Like, you have laws that are literally stripping people of their civil rights. I don't know how you can, not come to terms with that fact. That, like, the Republican Party is a homophobic, transphobic political party. They have laws that literally seek to marginalize people. And when you say that, there are people that gets mad and gets like, oh, don't say that. No. It's don't say that. That's just what it is. That's just the truth. That is what homophobia, do we not know what homophobia and transphobia is? And are we trying to act like those laws are not those things? Like, it's time to call a thing a thing. And I don't know what planet we're on, but everyone wants to see these things and not expect there to be the reactions. And I really can't stand that. I get annoyed when people get, when I cannot. But long story short, Ron DeSantis is going through it. He's having a hard time right now, as we, predicted. And, at the end of the day, these are choices. These were choices. These are choices. Choices were made, as they say. So, Ron's out. Now, other news, Biden student loans. Okay, Joe, I see you. It's been 2 weeks since that horrible Supreme Court striking of, loan forgiveness. But, okay, this weekend, the Department of Education says that they will begin notifying more than 804,000 borrowers that they have a total of $39 billion in federal student loans that will be automatically discharged in the coming weeks. In total, the Biden-Harris administration has approved more than $116.6 billion in student loan forgiveness for more than 3.4 million borrowers. And this is coming from the U.S. Department of Education. They're saying that these forthcoming discharges are a result of fixes implemented by the Biden-Harris administration to ensure all borrowers have an accurate count of the number of monthly payments that qualify toward forgiveness under the income-driven repayment plans. This is the IDR. These fixes are part of the department's commitment to addressing the historical failures in the administration of the federal student loan program, in which qualifying payments made under IDR plans that should have moved borrowers closer to forgiveness were not accounted for. So borrowers are eligible for forgiveness if they have accumulated the equivalent of either 20 or 25 years of qualifying months. Ooh. So there's a lot going on. Doesn't look like that's really impacting young people. Looks like this is impacting folks that's been caught up in this system for a long ass time, which makes sense. It makes sense. I told you all that. My bestie Jamarcus got his loan forgiveness because of community college. He had student loans connected to community college, and they wiped all of that away for him. He was went to CCP, and they wiped them loans off, and that freed him up a little bit, which was a blessing. So I will say that for some of us that went to Ivy schools, I'm clearly not speaking for myself. I was fortunate to get you know a full ride and tuition and all that, but for my other folks that's out there in the Ivy Leagues and things, listen, I mean, we got Ivy League degrees, okay? I'm not saying we shouldn't get forgiveness. I don't think people who are in those positions should get forgiveness. I'm just saying that I think the Biden administration is focused on people who've been fucked over by the system, people who are not having any access to upper mobility, people who are coming from families that did not provide support. I mean, it's a serious situation. I mean, it's serious. Because I'm going to go there for 5 seconds because I do hear a lot of debate. And what I will say about this whole loan situation, just the more education I'm in, the more I'm talking, is that a lot of people will talk about, okay, the loans and this, the loans are horrible, they got to pay off loans. That's real. But when you look at the entire scale to which you got people out here who literally went to school, didn't finish school because of how expensive it was, they're stuck in debt, never got a degree, never went to get an advanced degree. You got people that went to Ivy League schools that will say, oh my God, my student loans, my Ivy League school, my undergraduate was horrible. That was terrible. But then what did you do? You went and got a master's degree. You went and got another advanced degree, a law degree or something, an MBA. And then you got those MBAs or law degrees and some of these degrees, and you made some money. You did good for yourself, which you should. And then you want to complain about these loans. It's like, well, I mean, because I'm going to be real with you. If I had not gotten financial aid like I did to go to a school like the University of Pennsylvania, baby, I wouldn't be going, okay? It just wasn't going to happen. Getting accepted was great, but if I was going to have to pay or take out crazy loans to do it, I probably would have not went, to be honest. There's got to be that measurement of fiscal responsibility there. I think people want these things, and you're entitled to those things, but things cost. As my good friends say, yes, things cost. I'll leave it there. Things do cost. And so to some extent, I understand some of the conversations around, I see on my timeline a lot of folks with these really great prestigious degrees, and they're taking over the conversation around student loan. I feel like what Biden is trying to do, and I respect what he's trying to do, is, look, the rest of the country, most people in this country do not have degrees. So most people in this country don't really give a fuck about student loan debt because a lot of them didn't go to college and they don't really care. Now, you snobs, don't you say, well, who paying for your welfare and your blah, 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 blah. Don't make those assumptions. Watch your mouth. However, the attitude is that this is considered a very elite niche thing. However, it isn't as elite in its niche as people assume because some of the people who are impacted by this are Black kids that are getting fucked over by Sally Mae and other institutions that are predatory. Biden knows this, and we can all agree on that factor. Also, we also know that the student loan crisis disproportionately impact Black and brown families because a lot of times it's first-generation college students that are Black and brown that are going to these schools getting fucked over by these loan systems and creditors. So if you don't have family who's already went to college, they don't have any financial history to help you or support oftentimes to help you in whatever debt you might incur. So you're having to, number one, get this degree because you want to get an opportunity to go to college to provide for your family and you want to support them, right? You get some money, you got to give some money to take care of people, help people, right? But then you're dealing with the debt of all of that. That's a lot. And so to the folks that are in the Ivy Leagues, who's got parents who got degrees and everybody is whatever, listen, debt is annoying for everybody, but really check your privilege. With all due respect, check your privilege. Because this situation, as someone who has a best friend that went through some of this shit and seen it with my own eyes, it could be a lot harder. And so, what does it look like to know that you have the potential to be in a situation, a marriage or relationship where you can make so much money that your debts will be paid eventually, or you can get in a position to do that? Versus what does it look like where you have no career path in front of you? You don't know how you're going to get that job. You don't know how you're going to, and you're bombarded with getting debt for a degree that you never finished to earn because you couldn't afford to get it. What does it look like to be burdened with just these ridiculous prices and fees that you got charged when you thought going the community school route was going to be different? The debt is there, and you don't have. Imagine doing that with no parents who are employed or employed with gainfully employed. Let's say no education, no higher ed, no access to resources. It's even harder. So I have a lot more compassion and empathy. And I understand that, in my opinion, I wish the Supreme Court decision would have happened to give everybody that 20,000 cut. But in reality, I think what Biden is currently doing is focusing on a lot of these really hit hard individuals. We got to take care of the most marginalized people first. Because those who are sitting around talking about they got these debts and the student loan debt, they're sitting around with doctorates, masters, and advanced degrees, and they're like, yeah, they're annoyed by it, and they're worried about what it's going to be. But like, that's a luxury. It's a luxury because you're just wondering about paying, and it's like, okay, but the what was I stories from the profitariat of our society gets a little more stressful compared to knowing the reality. So it's like we gotta talk to people who don't got no money. I need people to talk to people who's been fucked over in the system. As a journalist, I love the fact that, well, it's not love, but I appreciate the fact that I get a chance to talk to various people from different walks of life and really hear their stories and not be in my bubble around my personal issues. Because the world is round, people. The world is round. And, that's important to take in consideration, okay? The world is round. So I say all that to say the world is round. It's round. And we have to come to a place where we learn and grow. And one of the things that I will say that Biden has done recently is that he has really been focused on several aspects. He's put $45 billion into over 650,000 public servants that through all of the work they've been doing, right? He's put $10.5 billion for nearly 500,000 borrowers who have a total and permanent disability. And he's put $22 billion for nearly 1.3 million borrowers who were cheated by their schools, saw their schools, ridiculously closed, or are recovered by court-related settlements. So like, Trump University and DeVry and all those type of schools, right? Well, I don't know about the Art Institute, but like the others, the other ITT Tech, all those type of scam schools. So it's like, I see the vision. I think he is working, to really focus on particular segments who have been messed up by this system. If you're somebody who went to school, took out loans, got a degree at a very great school, turned around, went to grad school, got another great degree, working a job that you like that's related to your field, and you're paying loans, you're going to be at the back of the line. That's just what it's going to be. I ain't going to hold you. Unless you have a disability, unless you're somebody who got scammed, unless, it was a degree that you didn't get, or you're dealing with it, or you have worked in government office and you've worked in public service and, you've done it for 10 years consistently and you made your payments. There's going to be no immediate relief. I don't see happening up front right now, especially with the Supreme Court decision. I think we will get there, but I think he's focused on people who's getting really immediately fucked by the system. I think everybody's getting fucked by the system, but some are getting it worse. So just, have a little empathy. That being said, Bank of America with the bullshit, y'all. Speaking of bullshit, and I saw this, and it's been a lot of talk in the streets, and I have a bank. I've had Bank of America. There's been a lot of chatter about what's going on over there. But basically, Bank of America was fined $250 million last week by the U.S. the feds, okay, for allegedly, let me say allegedly, harming customers by double dipping on fees, withholding credit card rewards, and opening fake accounts. Now, of those fines, 100 million is set to go directly to consumers who were impacted by the bank's alleged wrongdoing. Some of these customers have already been compensated, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is one of the government agencies that investigated Bank of America's practices, but others may be waiting a while before they get a slice of the money they're owed. So a lot of people want to find out how they want to get money. A lot of y'all ask this question. If an account was fraudulently opened in your name, it would have appeared on your bank statements or credit report. Both records should list the bank accounts and credit cards you've opened. If you see one you don't recognize from Bank of America and have no record of opening it, there's a chance it could be fraudulent. Bank of America's alleged wrongdoing dates back to at least 2012, according to the let me just say it because I'm trying to do abbreviations. Basically, the group that's been investigating them, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the CFPB, right? That means that consumers have had an unauthorized account open for over a decade. So this would have happened for at least about 10, 11 years, if possible. Now, people are apparently very generally bad at keeping or knowing how to access relatively recent bank records. That's what's being claimed. Some of these records could have been accessed online, but it can get dicey, especially if you switched from Bank of America to another bank over the past decade, or if the customer affected has since passed away and died. So a lot of it is going on. As you know, Bank of America is the nation's second largest bank. They haven't been speaking to people. They won't even respond to CNN's request for comment about how consumers can find out if they were the victim of alleged wrongdoing. Some people have already been compensated, apparently. People who didn't get the credit card reward bonuses that they were owed have been compensated. They haven't told people the amount, but they said Bank of America will be automatically refunding around over $80 million in redress to people who were double charged that $35 non-sufficient funds or overdraft fees since September of 2018. They said the bank will either put the funds into their deposit accounts or will mail out checks. And let me tell y'all something. I haven't really had that many overdraft fees in my years, but I will say when I remember one time where I had a situation where I ordered something. This was probably back in 18, 5 years ago. But I ordered something on one of my accounts and it pulled it out. It was $500 or something like that. And it was something I ordered and I think it was a big amount, but it wiped out my account where I had a negative balance and I wasn't notified and it charged me $35 for the overdraft fee. But then they charged me another $35 and I was just what the fuck? It was $70. But over time now, apparently Bank of America now, because I've been with Bank of America since 2010. Apparently Bank of America now, their overdraft fees have been reduced to $10. And I was trying to figure out why did they reduce it to $10 when we got the email about it a while back. Apparently, I think this lawsuit scared people because $35 overdraft fee is expensive. And if you tack on each day, I think they say each day your balance was low like that, they would just tack on more and more and more. So you would have $350 overdraft fees. And a lot of people never called the bank to complain about the overdraft fee and reverse the decision. So some of these people who didn't reverse the decision or complain or get the warning, they didn't fight it, they didn't call the bank to fight for it. They are going to be given some big money. All those overdraft fees that they may have had, some people about to get a coin. But I say all this to say Bank of America is a hot ass mess and I'm still with them. But I've been mixing I've had other accounts in other places. I've learned I need to move my money in different places. It can't just all be in one bank. Just, what do I know? My little financial pro tip. But yes. So speaking about loans and bullshit, the actors, the unions, everybody's on strike. America is on strike. I'm hearing every time there was a writer's strike, which we talked about with, SAG-AFTRA. Now the actors are on strike. And there's going to be a UPS strike, apparently, I'm hearing about. So if, I got a book, I'm on my book tour. Next week I'll be on my national book tour. I got to go hit up all the cities and things. But book shipments are about to be nuts because UPS, and if you think that this doesn't impact Amazon, it do, because Amazon is working with all of the various postal services to make sure that your little, hand fan and random socks or whatever is going to get sent on time. Well, UPS apparently say if they don't reach a bargain agreement, they're going to go on strike starting on August 1st. FYI. You heard it here first. Wake up, America. Stay woke. We're going to see packages in massive delay. Okay? Because they're going on strike. They're going to shut the entire fucking postal delivery service. Is about to collapse. Okay? It's time to pay people what you owe them. Bitch, better have my money, in the words of Rihanna. It is serious out here. Like, everybody want to get paid. They want their money. They sick of the billionaires. They sick of the stuff. Now, some of you all have been talking about scabs and things of that nature. So let me put y'all some union language. Unions say picket, right? That is basically the line to which people decide to protest. When they say that you're crossing the picket fence, that means that you're backstabbing the unions. Unions provide benefits and resources for a group of people. The reason why we have unions, and unions is a good thing, is because before we had unions, workers would get exploited, right? There'd be no guarantee that if you slipped and fell, that the place that you work at would not be responsible for you. That if you worked at a factory and you cut your arm or the machine snapped one of your fingers off, you would just have to go home. There was no benefits, there was no resources, there was nothing. Unions were led arguably by black people because we know what the fuck it means to be exploited in labor. So labor movements in the early 1920s and 30s or whatever were literally led by a lot of black people. We have Labor Day because of black laborers, if you didn't know that. Fun fact. But truth of the matter is that unions were put in place to protect people, protect workers, to give workers guaranteed rights, proper compensation, fair work pay days, lunch breaks. Did you know that? Health insurance. Did you know that? Time off, paid paternal leave, maternal leaves. All of that is connected to unions. You would not have those things without unions. Okay? So the need for unions matter in places where there's a lot of employees, right? So some people might say, well, do you need the union if it's just one or two people? Not necessarily. If you're an entrepreneur like myself, I don't belong to a union as an individual employee because I can individually take care of myself as an entrepreneur. But if you are a part of a union, right, in a unionized space, you do pay dues. But you pay those dues because you know that keeps you protected and guarantee that you get what you're supposed to get, okay? A lot of people get mad about unions because they argue the cons, which I don't believe they're cons, but here they are. The cons against unions is that a lot of times you might want to make more money than certain other people, or you want to get certain things. And companies will say, well, if you're unionized, you can't get certain benefits because we ain't got enough in the budget to give you those things. But an ununionized space could allow for other things to happen without contracts and deals. Now, allegedly, even though I feel this way, Tyler Perry is a textbook example of this. Tyler Perry runs a Wild Wild West studio. A lot of people say Tyler Perry is anti-union. Tyler Perry has been accused by several of union and groups that he is bad for business when it comes to dealing with people and work exploitation because you can't control hours. When you work in an ununionized space, there's no regulations on time and things and compensation and benefits and what's those things called? Riders. You don't get a lot of those types of things, right? And so Tyler Perry's been criticized for that. Interesting enough, he's a member of SAG-AFTRA as an actor. Yet he understands the union for his benefit as an actor, but he doesn't understand it for his other actors. Interesting hypocrisy. This is another reason why I like Tyler Perry. So the thing about unions, right? So understanding that, we can understand that unions come to the table on a regular basis and they basically talk to the company to which they're being unionized. So let's say that you work at Arby's and Arby's want to unionize. You can unionize basically with a certain number of people. You can get petitions, get signatures, and the staff coordinates and asks for unionization. Then they will work with a union, a national union. So it could be like the SEIU or someone like that, whatever. And they will get representation. They will have a union rep. The union rep will help advocate. There's like a structure to make sure that everything flows the right way. There's an agreement that they have to do. They have to do a bargaining agreement. So the company and the union come to terms on what that looks like to make sure that workers get a fair share and better. Union benefits are supposed to be better. Now, a lot of people, when a company tries to unionize, like I remember Amazon, all the drama with that. there are oftentimes people that do a thing called union bashing or busting or whatever, where they try to convince employees not to unionize. They'll say things like, "Well, if you unionize, you may not get these type of benefits. There might not be the same level of promotions. Our salary cap will be a certain way, and you won't get this." And anti-union sentiment is focused on individualism. But when you work for mass production companies, collective resources and benefits helps the masses and helps the individual. But a lot of times, what is interesting about America is that America is very rugged. This is a country that loves to talk about individualism and essentialism, like one person's success and trickling down and all that bullshit. And so, a lot of times, you might say to yourself, "Well, why are people would be against unions?" Because companies will sell the idea that this is going to stunt your individual growth, because you could be getting this great promotion, but because of unions you may not be able to get those benefits because we have to consider the collective. So then it makes you pit you against your fellow coworker in those spaces about unions. So it's very, 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 very messy. I haven't really worked in a union space personally, but I know friends that work at places that are unionized, and there is a need for it. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I don't necessarily need to be unionized because, again, I get to control my benefits. I get to control, my own work. So there is a lot of different reasons behind why somebody chooses to do it and why some people don't choose to do it. It's all subjective at the end of the day. But anywho, when it comes to SAG-AFTRA and these workers, unions are not just only addressing addressing pay and benefits. It's also addressing work conditions and setting standards to protect workers. And that's something that people sleep on when it comes to talking about unions. So here's the issue with the writers' strikes and things. These streaming Americans, folks that love streaming, is arguably hurting the residuals that can be made for writers, right? These checks that these actors get are very low. Streaming and all these platforms, these major media studios, these 8 big studios, Fox, Disney, Netflix, all of them, these studios hold a lion's share of resources. And so what they've been doing is they have been consistently putting out platforms, right? All types of things, streaming platforms, all these types of interactive experiences off of the labor of talent. And what they're doing is that by creating that, it's eating up at the budget and the money that could be given to talent. So if you get a TV show, remember, if a TV show goes syndicated, there is a lot more money that traditionally would go. But because of cord cutting, shows being put in streaming universe means that it's not as driven by revenue, by ads, by other things. And so the amount of money that talent would get off of a streaming of a show is far less than what it would be if it was syndicated on a terrestrial TV station. But even furthermore, a lot of the work then becomes a question, because when you put something on TV, there was contractual agreements that understood that if you're on air on TV, then you're going to get this amount of money because those have always been the rules. But with streaming, there has been no real solid rules around streaming. Like, how much do you get paid per stream? How much do you get paid per season? What if the show gets moved or there's a spinoff? There hasn't really been a lot of conversations about how to compensate writers and TV people based on that. So as a result of that, that's where part of the problem is. The studios are creating their own rules. They're not really sitting down bargaining, and that's part of the issue, allegedly. The other problem is that there's been a rise in artificial intelligence, AI, translation, technology. A lot of people are getting scared that a lot of talent is getting replaced by AI. Here's what I mean. So when you watch movies, you're thinking about the major superstars. But what if a movie production set that used to have extras is now being replaced by a bunch of AI created talent that is using the likeness of a person or a thing? One of the things that apparently came out in these bargaining agreements was that they initially said that, let's say a talent on an extra in a production would basically get paid 1 day as a extra. They'll get their compensation and union benefits for that day that they're on the set. But they will use that likelihood, give them and pay them a one-time, check or whatever, and then can use that person's likeliness and their image in however way they see forth for AI purposes. Yeah, that's a problem, right? So you got this situation where you mean to tell me that if you keep the likeliness of, like, let's say 200 people one time, how who's to say that future productions that are in movies, background actors, folks in the background, that AI will continue to use these people's likelihood and images in various movies without their consent, or I guess that one time sign. So remember in Netflix Black Mirror, Joan is Awful? This is the episode of Joan is Awful. So if you have not seen the latest season of Dark Mirror, I encourage you to watch episode 2, which is called Joan is Awful. I recommended that episode. That was like actually one of my favorite episodes in this very lackluster Black Mirror season. But Joan is Awful is a textbook example of what is happening right now. And Black Mirror called it, even though this was more subtle this year, they are clearly cutting edge because they spoke into this, and here we are watching the likelihood and likeliness of a person being used, could potentially be used multiple times. It's happening in real time. They're taking like people's entire identities and using them. And so the unions are fighting back. The actors are on strike. They're trying to put some real serious demands against these companies. They're demanding better pay. They're demanding better benefits and protections. And we the people need to be standing beside these individuals. So when I talk about picket fence mean the area to which these people are protesting. So if yours is a strike, crossing the picket line means not going on strike. Translation. When they say the word scabs or scabbing, they're referencing people who are taking deals and still behind the scenes doing things, even though there's supposed to be a universal strike. Writer strike is real. Actor strike is real. You know what that means, y'all? There's no TV. And people are asking me, no original TV at least, there'll be reality TV. So people who are being accused of scabbing right now, there's a real rise of people saying that influencers are scabbing. So the influencers fought long and hard in the past recent years to be a part of SAG-AFTRA, to get union benefits, because influencers were claiming that they were being exploited, which I believe. But now I'm hearing that there are influencers that are now in the middle of this strike scabbing right now. They're going out and still doing deals and gigs and things when they're supposed to be completely in alignment. Now, union strikes are very tough for writers and for a lot of people involved, because here's the thing: when you're on strike, that means you can't work. That means that you literally have to, make sure your finances are together. And there's a lot of people who are struggling. They can't financially afford to be on strike. What that may mean is they may have to go back into getting other jobs. They can't do acting jobs. So I heard stories of like studio actors who are extras, not talking about the big names like the Jennifer Lawrences and Leonardo DiCaprios or the Viola Davises. I'm talking about the extras on productions, the special effects people. Some of those actors have had to go back and work at movie theaters, have had to work at restaurants, have had to go back to bartending. Some of them had safe serve licenses because they can't afford to just sit it out. They have to work elsewhere while still being on strike until a deal is made. So you're going to start seeing an implosion and really a mass. It's going to be rough out here if they don't get a deal. And there's some horrible people like, Disney CEO Bob Iger acting like, these writers are being selfish, not being considerate. But it's like, you got people over there with $200 something million salaries, multi-million-dollar salaries that are fixing their mouth to act like they can't do more. So there's a lot here at stake. And honestly, for people who are acting like eat the rich, who cares if they're on strike, I want you to understand that when these strikes happen, there are a lot of everyday, regular people in this industry that are going to be impacted. And anytime there's a strike, the most vulnerable of the vulnerable get impacted. So if you think this is a situation where you shouldn't give a fuck or encourage people to do whatever, you do not understand that what could potentially happen right now is a revolution and a strong movement that can encourage everybody in the work economic system. A revolution is happening before us, ladies and gentlemen. Pay close attention. like how this happens when you have the most powerful, influential people, some of them Hollywood stars that feel like the current system isn't even working for them, then that garners a type of attention to set a standard. Because what happens in Hollywood will eventually cross over to teachers and other groups and other places. And we're seeing it, right? We're seeing UPS have a strike. Everybody's tired. Everybody is tired of the greed, the corruption. The people who were the most favorites and privileged, even they're starting to get fucked over. So they are now really sticking up to the 1%. It's a really interesting situation right now, but there's some hard conversations, and I encourage people to really get serious about it. So those are my thoughts on that. Want to talk about something a little light before I get into something else spicy. Hill Harper, he's a great actor. A lot of people don't remember a lot of the movies and things he's a part of, but I do. Hill Harper has been on CSI NY New York, of course, The Good Doctor. He's a good-looking man, very, very smart. I always remember he went to Harvard Law School. That's where I remember he went. He went to Brown for undergrad. Very smart brother. Well, he is, and he also has a great book. Well, he's got several great books, but he had a really great book called Letter to My Son, which at the time he had adopted a son. Just such a great guy. But anyway, Hill Harper, he's an author, he's an actor. He is running for the Michigan U.S. Senate race in 2024. He's pledging to run to the left of the Representative Alyssa Slotkin, who's a moderate Democrat. He's planning to run more of a progressive candidate in what is expected to be one of the most closely watched Democratic primary races in 2024. Okay? Like, this is going to be epic. In the middle of a presidential battleground state, we could get a new guy in Michigan. He's serious about it. He said to the press, quote, "It became clear to me that folks across Michigan don't feel like they are being represented in Washington, D.C." He said he was describing the conversations he had with people at farmers markets and union halls and other places like that. He said that he added that the state's Democratic leadership has done a lot to move the state forward, but Washington is still broken. And so this primary is likely to be followed by a heated general election against Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, as you all know, won the industrial Midwestern area by 11,000 votes in 2016. 11,000. And he lost it to Biden by more than 150,000 votes. Woo. That's a big damn deal. Biden is focused on voting in Michigan, in his Trump is focused on the voting situation, for sure, because that was he was trying to subvert the 2020 election when that was all that fake vote count stuff, because he was like, how did I win by 11,000 in 2016, but now I lose by 150,000 votes? Well, because Hillary and Biden are not the same. And also in the 26 primary, remember, Bernie Sanders, when had a fair shot, actually won Michigan in the primary. And that should have been a red flag for Hillary because, anywho. But a lot of people believe that he is a black progressive, Hill Harper is a black progressive. He's able to draw a coalition of liberal and black voters. People really think that, he could resonate with black voters in a state where a lot of conversation about race and representation has really been a problem. Detroit was a big deal. They said the 2020 midterm election left Detroit, which is the nation's largest majority black city, without black representation in Congress for the first time in decades. So there's a lot of racial dynamics at play here, and I'm looking forward to see if he can pull it out. I like him. I like him. There was some questionable stuff in the Daily Beast. They did a exclusive about whether or not Hill Harper actually lives in Michigan, because apparently he has a house in Seattle. He did a show in California, but apparently he's been there for about a decade. So there's been a lot of questions about whether or not, it would be worth it or not. Like whether or not he's committed and that voters should really take him seriously if it's worth the vote. I think it is. I think people should give him a shot and consider him. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. We'll see. But I know with Hollywood actors running for races, we saw Cynthia Nixon run in New York. We've seen Trump clearly. We've seen interesting people, but who can pull it off? I mean, it would be interesting if he pulls it off. I mean, he has the resources, he has likability. I mean, it'd be an interesting race to watch. In other news, another thing that I guess I can say I told you so about is the downward spiral of threads. Right after its, I guess people are calling red hot debut, Facebook's alleged Twitter killer threads has seen drops in daily active users and time spent on the app since the weekend, according to this tracking firm called Sensor Tower and Similar Web. But with 100 million signups in only 5 days, mm, it's still one of the fastest debuting apps of all time, and people are suggesting that it seems to be siphoning some traffic from Twitter. I don't know. I think that this is going to continue to be the spin. The engagement level is just not there. It has been what, a week of threads and nothing has popped off. I really don't like it. I'm really over it, to be honest. I have it, but I rarely post on there, guys. And you all don't seem to be retweeting me or showing me love on there. I don't know where you all went. You all got one or didn't get one or whatever. I don't know. But I don't think Threads is just going to do. I mean, they're just it's going to take more time. I think everyone was just on this fuck Twitter mood for 5 seconds. Twitter, look, Elon is going to do a dumb thing every week or every other week or every month, and then people are going to act like it's going to be a mass exodus, and a couple of people might fall off and leave. But a lot of people are, I just think the reason why Threads got buzz is because of the fact that, it was connected to Meta, which is through Facebook and Instagram. And you already know that as of right now, from what I believe to be still the case, unless anything has changed, you cannot leave Threads without leaving Instagram because the accounts are synced and connected to each other. So you can't cut off one without the other, which is why I think you're seeing this low engagement, because I think what happened is that a lot of people got on there excited and then they, which is how you get 100 million, right? Because, okay, a lot of people may have signed up, but normally you can't count those tallies because then people didn't also drop off or deactivate. So I did that. Like I had Blue Sky. I've deactivated from Blue Sky. Like I don't get the point of Blue Sky personally. Um, Other stuff I've deactivated from Blue Sky. I've deactivated from a couple other places, but I just feel like I'm at this point where it's just too much social media. It's just too many apps. There's too many things. There's too much this and too much that. I can't keep up with all of it, y'all. And I think we're at this point where we have literally platooned on all things related. So that's my take. I just think it's time for us to, kind of, move on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's still a little too early. Threads might, I know there's some celebrities that went on Threads, but unless I'm getting articles where, there's an exclusive on Threads, like this artist is dropping this, or, did you see that drama on Threads between these two celebrities? They were beefing in the Threads. Unless there is any of that going on, I don't really think it's going to pop. I mean, Twitter is just still where it's at. Just saying. So, in other news, which this is really spicy, and it came close to home. Have y'all been following this Shein shit? Shein, the company Shein, the RICO charges. This is a pretty big damn deal. And a lot of people have been like, I mean, I've been seeing a little bit of buzz, but like, okay, so for all of my fashionistas on a budget, Shein is this website that basically sells a lot of the designer clothes that you love and adore for way less. And it's built a reputation as being a place to go where, okay, you saw this Mugler design or this Gucci look or this really high fashion look, and you want the look, but you don't want to spend like $4,000, $5,000. You just only want to spend $15, $10. There is a site that is making designs ripping off looks. Now, how did I know a lot about this? Is because, Renaissance Tour, the Lit Brothers needed costume designs. And we were like, oh, well, where is this place that we can create uniformity amongst the crew without us wearing the exact same look and would actually match the theme of Renaissance? And Shein was that answer, to be honest. Shein had they literally have Renaissance inspired attire. Like the costumes from Renaissance, some of the pieces and laces and mesh, and it's just fabulous. I mean, they do a really good job at their design. However, here's the problem, and this is what I found out because I really didn't know much about Shein. I remember echoes of it being a more upscale H&M with better sizes, but that's what I remember hearing. But here's the thing. There's a lot of problems wrong with Shein, allegedly. RICO charges, okay, which y'all know RICO charges. People love to talk about RICO charges. They think of drugs, which is oftentimes racketeering cases with drugs. But really, RICO charges is about organized crime, okay? Organized crime. And they're being alleged right now in this serious RICO charges that Shein is that, one, there was apparently speculation that Shein was doing sweatshops, which I should have realized. And I, look, I'm never gonna wear Shein again. Never gonna buy any more new Shein materials again. Um, what I have left is what I have left, and you know how it goes. It's gonna rip eventually. The clothes don't last forever. You can wear it like 1 or 2 times, and it's gonna tear. People be out here trying to act like they can hold on to Shein. I don't know how you can. I've never worn Shein until the Renaissance concert, so I don't know how people can keep the material. But anyway, um, what they're being accused of doing is that they were creating shell companies. Now, this is how organized crime works. You have to really show a criminal mastermind scheme to do something criminal. So here's what they did, allegedly. Basically, the way that RICO charges worked on Shein is that they basically start off by stealing designs. And a lot of people attached to this RICO charge suing them are like these major fashion designers and housing distributors. Okay, so basically, Shein is being accused. This is all act. They say innocent until proven guilty. Basically, they said that they started off with theft. They would steal designs from designers. Okay, and then basically license them through their, company. Basically, this is copyright infringement, ladies and gentlemen, copyright infringement. And what they would do is that they would create shell companies. They would create multiple companies that would distribute the fabrics. Now, here's the problem. If you go on various websites, fashion websites, right? There are multiple companies out there that look like Shein's original website. I just started doing my own research and figuring this out. And so you would go on multiple websites and you would see these designs. And I would be like, that looked like Shein, or that looked like, but it was from some other company with a random name. Well, this is how shell companies work. They were all from Shein. But Shein was putting out all these other small companies to divorce themselves from any accountability over the copyright. So if there was so let me tell you why they would allegedly do this. Is because if you was a fashion company and you saw a design on one website, right? You really could have hit them up for copyright infringement. You would send them a cease and desist. They would take the fashion down. They would do something else, but they would just move and operate, right? But let's say it's one company that is doing this multiple times. Then that leads to an investigation, that leads to criminal charges, and there's a problem. Shein knew this, allegedly, and that is why they create a bunch of shell companies, basically these other small companies that would look like they were their own, but they were all under Shein to divorce them from accountability on any of the copyright infringements they were doing with all of these designs. So it was a very elaborate scheme to basically fuck over fashion companies and exploit people and make tons of money. So they would make all these little companies and stores. So some of you all might go on a website, you fashionistas, you folks that love some cheap gear, you might know of several weird named companies that you're like, oh, I don't go to Shein, I like this place, or this place has this and I got this from Shein. Like I knew when we were like designing Lit Brothers costumes for Renaissance tour, okay, Shein had one thing, but this other website had this thing and this website had this thing. And I was like, it feels that all these are from the same place. Because they had the same type of look. The websites kind of looked similar. It was weird, but they all looked like they were coming from the same place. But again, these fashion houses didn't really realize it. They thought that these companies were all trying to look like other companies and knock off so they could get customers. But they were all being operated apparently from Shein, which means Shein had an elaborate scheme to basically copyright infringement designs and steal from designers and steal looks without having to have any criminal persecution. Yes. And they got caught. And these are the problems that we're having now. So they would move these through different sellers, man. And the sellers, people are like clapping back. It is a whole mastermind scheme. Long story short, no more Shein. One of my friends, not gonna name their name, said that they were gifted a $200 gift card and they maxed that gift card out. and they're never going back again because Shein is pretty much about to get shut down. I think it might already be shut down. Actually, let me see if it's shut down because it's going through some things. Website look like it's still up. Website look like it's still up right now, but the tea is hot. The tea is hot. They're saying Shein violated a lawsuit. A lawsuit is saying that Shein violated the RICO Act by stealing people's designs. People check out more about the lawsuit. Top exec on that influencer trip fiasco. There was some influencer trip that they're talking about in China that caused a lot of controversy. With one influencer, that just happened where they wanted this influencer to talk about it because China's Shein was hit with a lawsuit citing RICO violations. Someone says there's no Coco Chanel. The lawsuit accuses Shein of copyright infringement. It's just a lot of problems on the headlines. Everyone's talking about the stores. They're talking about the fast fashion industry, which is apparently bad for the environment. So it's a lot of this was a wake up call for me to just change my lifestyle on how I support some of these places. But who would have known? Who would have known? So no more Shein. Missing Black girls, which has been a topic of interest lately. A lot of people have been sleeping behind the wheel, not talking about some of the stuff that's going on. I've been following this case and happy that by the time, people were focused on the topic that this actually, the person in question, it was so sad. So there's been a long conversation about missing Black, girls being found, not found, statistics about what happens. So there's the young woman, Carly Russell, who was a missing Black woman, and her parents feel like she was lured by a toddler on an Alabama highway. She vanished at the Alabama interstate. She's been found safe. She reappears after a 48-hour search. And part of this is because of the fact that a lot of people have ignored, issues pertaining to Black women being missing. But there were people notable folks that has called this out about how, Black girls come up missing. No one seems to give a fuck, pretty much. And this situation, fortunately, we've seen somebody be able to get saved. So here's the thing. So now that she's been found, a lot of people are starting to have this conversation. A lot of Black women have been having this conversation. Let me just say that. Shout out to this podcast called Black Girl Missing. There's a podcast that talks about countless Black girls who have been missing and, giving their stories and giving life to them. Please check out that podcast. It's available on Apple and other places where podcasts are available. So if you're listening to Ernestly Speaking, check out, Black Girl Missing if you're interested to know more about these issues. But here's some stats. So according to the NAACP, more than 64,000 Black women remain missing across the United States. Despite representing 12.85% of the population, Black Americans accounted for nearly 226,000, okay, or 34% of missing persons reported. Of all missing persons reported, okay? And this is a problem. There's a website called blackandmissinginc.com. You can get some statistics there. There's a lot of issues going on that people just don't talk about. So, we represent 12.85% of the population, even though we are making up 34% missing. This is just Black people in general, Black women specifically. There's data that says that Black women are more likely to go missing but receive less news coverage than missing white women, which we know. There's a study called Missing White Women Syndrome, an empirical analysis on race and gender disparities in online news coverage of missing persons. There's a whole study about this. And basically, Black people were significantly underrepresented in the population of missing persons who received coverage, even though missing people of color make up nearly 40% of all missing persons cases. The analysis also found that white women were overrepresented in news coverage, accounting for more than half of missing persons coverage when they are far less in representation. So there's a lot going on. There are countless stories and lots of studies, and people should really check this stuff out. But it's good to see that Carly Russell is home. It's good to see that, she is safe. and she's sound. What is the cause of that? What happened? More will be known. But just for her to be found alive is just a blessing. Apparently, what happened, apparently, according to police, that she's alive and safe. They said she walked up, banged on the door, and that was her, is what they said when she went to her family's home. They're doing an investigation. They're going to work with the facts. With social media, so many people that think they know what's taking place. Right now, they're just happy she's home. There's people making speculations and things, but she's home. And we don't know all the details yet, but there were phone calls that she was missing. And apparently, they said Russell had called 911 around 9:30 p.m. last Thursday night to report an unaccompanied toddler walking alongside the highway, and later told her family that she was going to check on the child herself. But that was the last known contact anybody had with Russell before she had returned on Saturday night. Okay, they said when police responded to the call, Russell's Mercedes-Benz was found pulled over on the side of the highway, still idling with the driver's side door open, but no one was there. Not even a toddler or her. Notably, the police said Friday there have been no reports of a missing toddler. That's bizarre. So we don't know, but we're going to find out. But that's a lot. I'm just, hoping for her mental health and her recovery from all this, because whatever it is traumatic. And so hopefully she's well. So moving along, Britney Spears has a new book coming out. It's her book. It's her memoir. It's her biography. A lot of people are questioning, is it really Britney? Is there something else going on? I mean, Britney's been giving videos, y'all. She's talking. I know people are questioning her mental health because of her dancing, She's sexy dancing around the house. I feel like Britney Spears. But it's coming, okay? Her story, or her term, she says, at last. She's asking people, are they ready? The book is called The Woman in Me. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. October 24th, 2023. Even Britney dropping a book. The website is BritneyBook.com. I checked it out. It's pretty. I pre-ordered it. # The Woman in Me. I'm excited. People thought the book was going to be called Brave, but it just appears to be Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. As an older photo of her, I want to say this photo of the cover, for those who want to know, this cover photo of her is not new. I know I'm a big Britney fan. I think this look comes from the Britney self-titled era, which, as you all know, Britney fans, is her third studio album. Her first studio album was Hit Me Baby One More Time. Then it was Oops, I Did It Again, and then Britney self-titled. And of course, one of my favorite all-time Britney albums was In the Zone, which was the fourth studio album. But this looks like it came from Britney's self-titled album. She describes it as, The Woman in Me is a brave and astonishingly moving story about freedom, fame, motherhood, survival, faith, and hope. Listen, Team Britney, please send me, the galley. I will read the galley. If you want to send me the book, that's cool too. But I'll read the galley, okay? I want to read this book. It sounds interesting. Simon & Schuster, multi-million-dollar book deal. Okay, she's getting them coins again. She's getting those coins. Because I've been wanting to know about this. I mean, there's been no documentary that has been able to encapsulate what's been going on in Britney's life. And now she's writing a book now that she's free. The Free Britney movement is real. The way that they do this book, they say, in June 2021, the whole world was listening as Britney Spears spoke in open court. The impact of sharing her voice, her truth, was undeniable, and it changed the course of her life and the lives of countless others. The Woman in Me reveals for the first time her incredible journey and the strength at the core of one of the greatest performers in pop music history. It's true. Written with remarkable candor and humor, Spears' groundbreaking book illuminates the enduring power of music and love, and the importance of a woman telling her own story on her own terms at last. I'm excited. Don't that get you excited? Are you excited? I'm excited. I want to do it. They're doing this thing called Get Author Updates and Special Offers from Simon Schuster Plus. Receive a free ebook when you join. Well, I want that ebook for Britney. But Britney's website is dope. She has literally a whole page, and you can pre-order the book now on various places like Amazon, everywhere else. The book hardcover is only $23. It's got a nice little sale right now. The original price is $32.99, but this book is only $23.09. So I highly recommend it. It's already a number one bestseller on Amazon in various categories. It's number one bestseller in composer and musician biographies, which is really hard to get because there's a lot of autobiographies on musicians. So I'm feeling the vibe. I'm feeling Britney. I'm going to get this book. I can't wait to read and devour it. It will be on my bookshelf, alongside Viola Davis and all the other legends who've had great autobiographies. So I'm excited about the book. I mean, clearly it's going to be a New York Times bestseller. I mean, this year feels like the year of biographies in general. Prince Harry had Spare, which came out in January, which blew the lid off of all the books that came out. Anyway, good book. So that's happening. Other news, Jamie Foxx is alive and well. Yes, y'all have been asking me all about this. Is he dead? Is he alive? Do y'all really believe it? Is it a clone? Did they clone him like Tyrone? No. Guys, honestly, why is no one believing the sister? Not the sister, the daughter. His daughter said he was fine. His daughter said he was playing pickleball at one point. I know that there's this need from us as the people to feel like we're so enwrapped with celebrities. We got to know all their business. We got to know all these things. But at some extent, we got to create boundaries and healthy boundaries. And I feel like Jamie Foxx really did a good job, really starving off a lot of the rumors. Now, they said that it could have been instructed or whatever, but it's like at the end of the day, he took the time to rest. He's out here saving ladies' purses and things. I feel like some celebrities won't tell you that they might need a break. And sadly, for a lot of A-list Hollywood stars, they're so out there so much that they literally have to create scenarios. Now, I'm not saying that Jamie Foxx did this, but I've heard of celebrities that would create scenarios where they would get the rest that they want because they feel exhausted and overwhelmed. And Jamie Foxx has, been an entertainer who's never really stopped working. He's in movies all the time. He's always in a project. He's always doing something, TV shows and music and gigs. He's just done a lot. And I think he's at a space where I feel like he probably needed this break and just needs to just chill. But a lot of times it's the love of the career and the fame and everything else that you don't want to feel irrelevant. I get it. Like Tom Cruise won't rest because he's got to still do Mission Impossible films and do real stunts. But hey, it is what it is. But no, I think he's fine. I just think time will tell, and when he's ready to tell us, aka when he's ready to monetize the interview, he will, and we'll all watch and we'll all talk and speculate. So. TMZ just, all the TMZ rumors, man, they were out there acting like this man was on his deathbed. I keep telling y'all them tabloids, watch out for them tabloids and that paparazzi now. I keep telling y'all. So this has come up in conversation. Now, this is Ask Ernest. I am holding it to you. You all are sending me questions. A lot of times, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but in the podcast, some of the things, I will say this, a lot of questions you all ask me, I already have answered it or plan to answer it through my work already. So some of you all think, what do you think about the Emmy nominations? Well, I'm going to talk about the Emmy nominations later in this podcast. But Ask Ernest, I like to try to have something a little bit more, personal or something a little bit like that's not really in the headlines. So somebody did ask me about this and I'm going to bring it up. Here's Ask Ernest for this week, this question. They sent me a screenshot of a text message that's been going viral. Some of y'all already heard about this. Basically, I'm going to read the text that's went viral around this relationship. A girl sends an email, like a message, a DM to a guy, says, hi. He says, hope you've had a good day. I'm excited for tomorrow. I can pick you up, but if you're not comfortable with that, we can just meet there. IDK, why? But I'm feeling like getting some ice cream in this hot weather, and he had an emoji of someone sweating and said LOL. Her response, sorry if this may come off as rude, but I don't do ice cream dates. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and a date like that seems like the absolute bare minimum for me. Meeting up would be a waste of both of our times since we probably don't have the same vibe. Best wishes. He responded, cool. Emoji with shades on. People ask me, who's wrong? Is it her? Is it him? Should a girl have high expectations? Should a guy not try to be cheap and lowball? What do you think, Ernest? Well, for starters, you're asking a gay man, so let's just start there. Um, Here's my thoughts. First of all, when I heard this 26-year-old, when I heard that they were 26, that was the first red flag for me. Because I have to remember where I was at 26. And not even where I was at. But, I'm about to be. Yeah, it's my podcast. It's called Ernestly Speaking. So I'm going to say some things. It's going to get, it's, me and my good friend, my fave, my good sis, my bestie, Amanda, and us had this conversation about something close to home recently. And I think I'll talk about it in the podcast. Because why not? But I'm going to make it full circle. And that's why I chose this particular one, because it actually was something that was close to me that happened, not to me, but to a loved one. So I want to talk about this situation and put it all together. But starting off, what was the red flag for me was that this person was 26. Yes, 26, you're an adult and you're grown. But it's also the age, in my opinion, the age, your mid-20s is the era, especially in this economy. It's the era of I'm trying to figure it out. And that means the era of figuring out careers, figuring out finances, figuring out budgets, figuring out, how to maximize, relationships. People are on real budgets. People are trying to test waters. You're at a young age where you're trying to figure it out and also trying to, not come on too strong. So, I talk to my mom about this a lot, but like when you're at a certain age in your 40s, there's some things that you could do a little bit differently because you're at a certain age where, context is kind of always assumed, right? There's just certain things that, you can move forward, which is why, like, I always hear this term about like older people. It'll take long. Like when I hear about older people getting engaged within a year, it's never much of a red flag as much as a young couple, let's say in their early 30s, getting married or engaged within a year of knowing each other. Because a lot of times older people are more mature. They've had life experiences. They're at that age where they can read people a lot better. They can be able to say, yeah, after about 2 or 3 little dates or meetings, I can tell me and this person are on the same page. Like my mother is in her early 50s. I know she doesn't look like it, but she's at a point in her life where it's not even about dating. She's been off the market for over a decade. But like she tells me all the time, like when she, go out with friends or in different friend circles and networking situations, that she can just have a natural sense of recognizing if a person is ready for something or not ready for something, whether it's a job or opportunity, if she's looking to recruit someone, like there's certain things she can see, and it's a discernment and wisdom that comes with her age. And so you can imagine that someone like her and women of her age at that level, that it don't take too long for them to date before they know if this is a person they want to be married to or be with, because so much they go right into the meat a lot earlier. Versus when you're young, you're on a date. It's not much you can ask people. I mean, do you have kids? Are you married? Are you not married? Do you want to get married? How's your thought about kids? It can get it's a little different. But when you're in your 50s or late 40s or whatever, just certain conversations just seems to be just kind of like it comes out naturally. Tell me about yourself. If you're on a date with somebody, they'll be like, living my life, been in my career, my job for 30 years, 15, blah, blah, blah. It's just a different kind of conversation that you just are not going to have at 26. So I'm laying this down and breaking this down because I want to just say that the first thing that flagged me was the 26-year-old woman aspect, because it's like, okay, yes, you're 26 years old, but like, where are you all in this universe? Like, where are you all in reality with expectations that you're putting on someone? So someone saying a date that absolutely seems like the absolute bare minimum for me. I think, what do we mean by bare minimum, right? Like ice cream dates, bare minimum. Let's start off with the fact that they've never met before. And we strip men of the agency to be able to fill something out. I don't know what the straights be on. The straights be on don't do too much for me because that looks like you're love bombing, to you're doing so the bare minimum, you're basic, you're cheap, you're whatever. We don't really, I don't know what, I mean, I'm gay and I'm not attracted to women romantically or sexually. I just don't know what straight women want in these dynamics, because I've heard various things from various women that I'm friends with. And then they'll say things like, okay, yeah, if I go on a date, I don't want a guy to do the most on me and be flashy. That's a red sign. That's a red flag. A man trying to buy me, overdo it, because that's just way too much. There are some women I know that say they just feel like that's a little unhealthy when a man comes on too strong. So a lot of this generation's men, and I'm raising, my brother, I'm a big brother to a cis het man who I'm trying to raise up to be the most respectful, thoughtful, you know, queer embracing feminist, that I could possibly make, right? I want him to be, and he is those things. He's a good kid. He's 20, of course, he's in college, he's gonna be a junior. So in many ways, I give him dating advice. Like, my understanding is, of course, we all know about consent, but also the mindset of, hey, you're a kid, you're 20, right? You're young, you're in your 20s. Like, you don't have to feel the pressure to do any extra stuff with a girl that you just met. Keep it cute, read the room, take it slow, take it chill, do something light and fun, be a kid, have fun. And so I'm thinking to myself, a 26-year-old being like, hey, let's just go out for ice cream or something. If that's the first time you meet, that to me seems like a safe zone. When I think about when Barry and I started dating, we didn't go extreme. We actually chill. We went to like campus parties and things. I had like little kickbacks at my crib, at my spot. He came over, I had other friends. So it was like we didn't do too much intimate. And then when we did go intimate, we did something really light. We did like an Indian buffet that was like $12 per person. I was in my 20s, whatever. It was early 20s, I wasn't balling like that, or I wasn't trying to do all of that too early because I felt like, well, that may come off too strong. Like, our first dates were at Olive Garden. And listen, we're not going to come for Olive Garden. Olive Garden is nice, but we would just build and we got to know each other and get more comfortable. I just feel like it's weird if you meet somebody for the first time and you're young. Let me emphasize the young part. And you're going out to like an over the top restaurant. It might be a little too much. And I remember one of my homegirls, I ain't gonna name her name, but got taken out to Butcher and Singer with a dude. And the dude was a total asshole. Let's just be very clear. But the interesting thing was that when I look back, I feel like Butcher and Singer, for a woman that is in her 20s, who, is in school doing her thing, whatever, I feel like that may be a little too much to do with somebody that you are not in an exclusive, intimate relationship with. It just comes off a little too much. Like, restaurants like Butcher and Singer, really nice, expensive steakhouses. I always tell people, like, that's anniversary, baby. That's date. Like Alpen Rose, Mr. Johnson and I went out at our first year anniversary at Alpen Rose. We had a great time. But that was our 1 year anniversary dinner. I'm in the mindset where I don't want to be in a position where I feel like people are coming at me hard or expecting me to overperform. What I loved about, my early dating experience, Mr. Johnson, was that we really built. We started off at Indian buffets, the New Delis of the world. Then we went to Olive Garden and went to Capogero, RIP Capogero, what a great place. We had cute times. Kiwi, remember the frozen yogurt spot? Kiwi, which is still open in West Philly, by the way, still a great place. But we just did it cute and light, and we just built, but we was getting to know each other. And again, I wasn't trying to come on too strong. He wasn't trying to, whatever. We was acting our age, we was acting our wage, because back then we were in college, and we wasn't balling in dough like that, right? So I'm looking at this 26-year-old conversation. I'm just like, you just met him. He's probably not trying to really do the most and go crazy because he doesn't want to set up unrealistic expectations. He's trying to be great. So then there's more to when I was reading this, because I want to break this down. The second half is meeting up would be a waste of time, of both of our time, since we probably don't have the same vibe. Why are you thinking that the vibe would be different just because of one ice cream date? Why are you coming on things? So, to me, I feel like that's a red flag. I feel like that's a red flag. I feel like it's a red flag that you would expect a situation like that so early, and that you would literally judge him. You didn't even give him an opportunity to offer. What if you could have just said, oh, well, how about dinner? Maybe throw the option on the table. Maybe say, well, how about lunch? Or maybe, see maybe if ice cream is something different. Maybe they thought of that because they just said, hey, it is hot. Maybe it's something cute. Maybe somebody want to do the most. I get coffee dates, but like, why do we brace engagement or minimum or bare minimum based off of finance? And so that is really pissing me off. And so I think she's wrong. I think she's absolutely wrong. I think that her whole approach and her way of going about this is going to put her in a situation where she's going to be perpetually single, and she's never going to meet the kind of person that she really thinks she wants. And I said this earlier, that we live in a society, and listen, I got brothers be doing the most too. So I'm not just going at the girl. There's guys who do this shit too. I'm like, why do you guys feel like you got to come in super strong and super extra and then get mad when there's an expectation created in a relationship where the girl in the relationship is expecting more and more and more and more because you start off like that? And then the word love bombing comes in. It's all problematic and manipulative. But I want to tell people, both people, women and men, people who are queer, that if you treat your body and sex as a commodity, then expect to be commodified. If that's the way that you're going to treat it. If you think that you could put a dollar sign or a mill on your pussy, your ass, your dick, whatever, if you think that you do it like that, then expect to be commodified. And don't turn around and go, how am I being exploited? Why am I being treated like a piece of ass? Because you put a price tag on it, because you put something on it. Okay? If you want a relationship that's genuine, then that means that you have to date a person. And people are imperfect, and people are nuanced, and people are trying to make it by. Okay? And so if you are looking at material things as a decision to decide how to judge a person in early stages of a relationship, that's already a red flag. So I say all this to say, because I'm going to say this, my brother has a nice girlfriend. They're good. But there was a situation a little while back that I kind of had a little eyebrow raise about. So her birthday, she's a Gemini. He wanted to take her out. Now, he just finished, staying the summer. He was, at home, my mom and my parents, and they were like, enjoying the summer. And she came down actually in Houston. They spent the week together at my mom's place. When she was there, she didn't have to spend no money. She had a good time. My brother didn't start his internship until the following week. So, he wasn't getting paid. So he hits me up and says, look, he hits his big brother up, me. He's like, oh, I want to take my girl out for dinner. What can I do? I was like, where can you go? I mean, I'll give you $200. But I was thinking in my head, just 200, not just for the dinner, but just an emergency. Now, mind you, they're like in their early 20s. They're young. She turned 21. He just turned 20 in March. So they go. I said, go to Louie Louie. Go to Louie Louie. That should be fun. That should be decent. You should have no problem. And on top of that, he can't drink, because he's under 21. So she turned 21. So basically she can have all the drinks. So he takes her there, appetizers, buys her some drinks, whatever she wants, and then, she looks at the menu and she's looking like she wants lobster. Now, I don't think she's ever really had like a big fancy lobster at a restaurant, but apparently she was like, oh, well, I want lobster, because I guess she just thought that's what, you're supposed to do. Well, he looked and kind of like, oh, I got a budget, I don't really want to spend, he doesn't have time to get a lot. If you want, look, he is on a budget of $200. He gets his lobster. Y'all know lobster at market price, like that's serious. So she didn't get the lobster because he's like, look, I have a budget. He was real with her. She got something else, didn't really like it, and she was a little pouty about it. I felt like to myself that why would you think that a 20-year-old going to a restaurant, they're taking you to a nice restaurant, reasonable, right? And that you can get a lobster on a birthday date. And you know that he's about to start his, internship that's paid. Why would you hold these expectations? So he tells me about this and he kind of feels a little bummed about it. I'm like, what the fuck? You're 20. And I'm looking back at myself and I don't think I ever had lobster or did any of those type of things at that age. But I just thought to myself, like, realistically, girl, why would you expect that? And so I'm a little, it's been an interesting, it's not left the best taste in my mouth, to be honest. I think that, clearly they're still dating and he likes her and everything's cute. But in my mind, I'm just like, hey, sometimes you got to take somebody aside and have a conversation. Sometimes you just have to understand what people expect. But I've seen a culture where we're seeing more and more of this. And I think it's in the culture, this attitude of max me out, you need to spend this, you need to spend that. And people are misinterpreting this as okay, female empowerment, but then at the same time, is this really woman empowerment? Is this really the type of empowerment? Is it being misinterpreted in ways that's creating unfair expectations on men and also perpetuating stereotypes around masculinity and wealth and finance? And I just don't want personally my brother to be in a relationship where these types of gender expectations are being enforced upon him when he's young. He's fucking 20 in college, on scholarship and in a paid internship for the summer. Like, what is you doing? What are you doing? Have you ever had any man buy you a lobster? Like, why be judgmental? Why judge someone up when you know? But it's become a culture of younger people. I'm seeing this placing these ridiculous expectations because they're watching TV, they're watching apps, they're seeing social media, they're seeing all of these lifestyles. And I've had to even tell my brother and other mentees of mine, like, listen, y'all see me on TV and on Instagram and having a good time. I'm grown, okay? I have a lease in my name. I have a husband. I have a dually income household. We both work. We're both educated. We're both out here doing the damn thing. So if you see me out doing this, that's what it looks like. Get like me. But listen, let's be very clear. When I was your age, I was not doing it like that. And I don't know why so many young people feel this pressure nowadays. And I guess it's social media, perhaps, that they want to live that life so early. And it's almost like it's not even aspirational. Like I always said to myself, when I got a certain age, I was going to be living in, staying in nice hotels, and I was going to do these nice, I was going to be in the Four Seasons. But I envisioned that for myself in my early 20s for something I would do in my 30s and later. Like I didn't think that I was going to be doing that stuff immediately. And I just feel like now we're in a culture where there's a lot of young people that want to live like that or do these types of things based off of just proximity to power and to celebrity and to wealth. And it's got to stop. And so seeing this post took me to that place recently. And I think what needs to happen is that there needs to be I think more men who needs to be respectful, but have honest conversations. And I think there's also situations where other women should talk to other women amongst themselves about these expectations. I don't necessarily think men should be telling women all these things, but if you're in a relationship with a woman or your relationship is in a situation, a certain dynamic, I do think you can articulate, your thoughts. And I wonder, whoever the guy is in his message, he just basically said cool with it, and kept it cool and left, right? Good for him, right? Good for him for taking a high road because clearly that could have been an argument. That could have been a huge debate. He just was like, okay, thank you. Next. Shout out to that brother for doing that. But I also wonder, not that it was his responsibility, but whoever is seeing this, if this girl goes viral, she's clearly gone viral. I want somebody in her circle, a homegirl, to say, listen, that ain't it. Like, I get you, but there's another way to say this without looking like you're a classless piece of shit. I mean, that's just, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how nicer I could say it, but there's other ways to do this. And too often, people often fall in the trap of saying stuff like, well, I don't want to come off as rude. Well, you just came off as rude. Okay. That's that. So that's my Ask Ernest of the week. As always, please send this to me. I prefer before Sunday. So by Saturday at midnight every week, send me your question, your thought, and experience that happened to you. And if that experience that happened to you is something that you want to ask other people or get some real advice. If you killed somebody, I cannot help you. Call 911 or go talk to a lawyer. Call your lawyer first. But I can't help you with those type of things. But no, seriously, call me, hit me up, DM me on Instagram or Twitter and just, ask me like, hey, this thing or whatever, and I will read it. And so someone, one of you all sent me this. Appreciate your mail, your Ask Ernest question, and I'm happy. Hopefully I answered the way that you like. So there's that. So as far as movies, before I get into music, which includes the Renaissance Tour review, Barbie versus Oppenheimer. It's coming very, very fast. It's coming, y'all. Barbie is going against Oppenheimer, the upcoming films. Well, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Because I feel like I can say it now. I think I can. Can I say it? Should I wait? I'll wait. Maybe. Debating when I want to reveal this. Well, long story short, I would just say both of these films are equally good. Barbie is incredible. Yes, I've seen both of the films. Okay, I've seen the screener. Barbie is fucking incredible. I'm happy I can finally say it. Barbie is so good. The commercials do not do it justice. The advertisements don't do it justice. I don't think you all know what is going on, which I get, because I feel like they've made it a way that you really don't really know what's going on. But guess what? Once you watch the movie, you get it, you love it. It's so great, so thoughtful, so intentional. Director Greta Gershwin or whatever, she is incredible. I think she's a really great director. She's done some really great feminist. Greta Gerwig is her name, the director. She's done other films like Lady Bird, Little Women. She's just, Frances Ha, which is one film I really loved that she did. But she's great in this work. This is some great work that she's done. Loved it. The cameos are great. I highly recommend it. Now, I will say this. Oppenheimer, epic. Words cannot describe, but it's epic. So I have it's a historical film. It's going to leave you with a lot to think about when it's a big damn deal is what I'm going to leave it at. I definitely see Oscars. I see a lot of Oscars for this film in its future, or a lot of nominations. It is an Oscar contender. Christopher Nolan, I think it's his best film overall. The acting is superb. The visual effects, they left no crumbs. These are two very different films, but they are so good. And what a good time it is for movies. So I will say this. I know earlier in the podcast I was talking about movies, but see, these are the kind of movies that you're going to want to go see in the theater. So to all of my besties, and y'all know who y'all are, besties, I have tons of movie passes. So if y'all want to go to the movies, I do not mind watching Barbie again. I don't mind watching Oppenheimer again. They are epics. They're grand in their own rights. And people say, which one? Both of them. Now, at the box office, I think that Barbie is going to get more. Because, first of all, Barbie's more universal. I mean, the marketing for Barbie has been off the charts. I haven't even really seen any marketing for Oppenheimer. I predict that Barbie will be number one at the box office, period. I mean, Oppenheimer, I don't even know if it's going to be in the top 5. Because sometimes, no, it's Christopher Nolan, so it might be number 2. Who knows, though? Because Barbie can be framed as a super girly film. However, I can see a lot of young people seeing Barbie, and the rating is not bad. Barbie's rating is applicable. It is applicable for younger audiences, I believe. I don't think it's rated PG. I think it's rated PG-13. So it will be able to work. I mean, but Barbie's everywhere. If you put Barbie film in Google search, it's pink. It's everything, y'all. The movie is everything. And Oppenheimer is a war drama that is rated R. So it's like it's a different type of crowd. A lot of people are in the film. Emily Blunt is in Oppenheimer. She kills it. Robert Downey Jr. Cillian Murphy. Okay. Oscar nomination. I think he's finally going to get an Oscar nomination. It's a long time coming. I can see it. Matt Dillon's in the movie. A couple of other notable people. But it's great. It's great. That's what I can say. Both of the films are great. Both of them. So, now I can talk about Renaissance. This tour, this show, is everything. There has not been too many people who can say in America they've seen the show as of the recording of this podcast. Philadelphia and Tennessee, right? Nashville can say it. But this show is the best show I've ever been to in my entire life. I don't know if I'll ever feel as universally connected to a tour or a show or an album or music in the way that I felt about Renaissance as a Black queer person. I've gone to many concerts and I do like my shows, but there's just something about what she created in that stadium that will last me a lifetime. I feel like this is the type of tour that when people of my parents' generation would say they went to a Michael Jackson concert and it was great. This is like that. This is like that Michael Jackson Scream tour, that Michael Jackson Thriller tour. Like this is that feeling. Like this is a tour that will always be talked about. Like it's just it's something different. And yeah, I just want to start by saying 10, 10, 10s across the board. It is an incredible production. Costumes, the music, the dancing is important. Um, so how we planned for this production of this, the Lit Brothers and I, how we got together, George is Geo. George, Josh, Jamarcus, and I, we planned this out very much early. Um, we got our costumes. People loved our costumes, our outfits. I call them costumes because you wouldn't see me this. And again, we went viral on social media. It was on Instagram. I wore this lace mesh see-through, number with these black, Daisy Duke type shorts. I had these sparkling boots that I got from Saks Fifth Avenue that I've been waiting to wear, and I broke my feet into them finally. Ooh, it was a great show. The boys all dressed up. I had the Renaissance hat, the cowboy hat with the sparkles and the lights, the disco hat, disco cowboy energy. I had that. I mean, I just had a good time. It was so great. The crowd was wonderful. Got my nails done, got them in the glitter sparkling era, like silver, sparkle, all of that is Renaissance. It's lace, it's black, it's silver, it sparkles, it's glitter. That is the theme. It's disco cowgirl, gothic, disco rustic look. It's a very particular look. And I wish people who want to maximize it, just follow that fashion trend and you'll be great. But it was great. The fashion was on point. Everything was just really solid. I was really thoroughly impressed with everyone in production and everyone who had something to say and to do and how wonderful people made this show and the good intentions and the great vibes. They were all largely felt. We went to, when I got my nails done. So this is this backstory. So I got my nails done, my spot, Lux Nails, okay, in University City. My good girl V did my nails. I was there and my appointment got not bumped up earlier, but bumped up later down by an hour. And I get in there and there's no one there but these guys. And they all got like these blonde tops. They're all black. They're definitely, a lot of them, I mean, I got clearly, they're getting their nails. I'm not assuming they're gay, but there were some of them that clearly were queer. And I'm like, that's interesting. They looked very familiar. And it was funny because when I walked in, I had wore my Renaissance shirt that I got from, by the way, I got my shirts, from Beyonce's website. So if you saw those two lovely shirts I got, they're off of Beyonce's website. They're still selling those shirts. Those shirts are hot and fabulous, okay? Very affordable, right? They're like $44. $40. Let me tell you something. I did not buy anything from the Beyonce tour. I was not going to even play. But when I tell you that it was 67,000 people and people was in there spending all their last buying shirts, she had shirts in there for like $50. I was like, what? They was Beyonce merchandise. The bootleggers was out there trying to sell the bootleg stuff. But nobody was really feeling the bootleggers like that this time. I didn't really see them sell that many shirts. Personally, I didn't see that many shirts. I think with Beyonce, everybody wants to do everything real. Like you want the real shirt, you want the real, design, the real stuff. Like these shirts are high quality. They were like $40, but they're really made nicely. The art is nice. It's worth it. You know what I mean? But there were people that were spending crazy amounts. I mean, hoodies, I think I saw in there, but the prices were high and people were giving her the money. But I had my shirt on. Somebody looked at me, recognized me. I was like, So long story short, I find out that those were the dancers in her show. And how I know is because one of the dancers that do this one guy's nails, he's from Philly. He's a Philadelphia. He's a part of Philadelphia. He's a professional dancer. He's done various shows, but he's been on the road with Beyonce through his whole world tour, this dancer. And so the reason why our appointment was bumped is because all these people got added on. So the rest of the reservations had to get canceled, rescheduled. But I clearly have had a sitting reservation forever. So I was able to slide in and I was able to blend in. Well, I put the picture of my nails up And then Fox 29, okay, because Fox 29 be doing a lot. They made a point they found the location because they saw the tag, and they basically interviewed her about it and everything. And I'm just like, you see how these TV stations do? Not the common courtesy of asking me about my nails or asking for permission or getting context. Nope, they wanted to send somebody out there to just do the work for them because they was hungry for a Beyonce story. And so it brought great buzz to that shop, which I'm happy about. And using my influence to make an impact is dope. So that was great. The show itself, like I said, was phenomenal. We had really great floor seats. We were on the floor, which I didn't even realize what that meant. I never had been in a concert where I was that close. But I was. And also it was a football stadium. So this is where the Eagles play at the Link. So it was the Lincoln Financial Center. I'm like, wow, this is like a whole football stadium. And 67,000 people are in this crowd to see a Black woman who is the opening act. There's no other opening acts, no special guests, none of that. Beyonce is the alpha and omega of the entire fucking set. She is everything. You're there for her. And like, you get to a point where like, who actually opens for Beyonce? Like, who can actually open for Beyonce at this point in her career? It's like, who? Jay-Z? You know, like, it's a beautiful show. What I like about it is that she does a lot of deep cuts. She gives you most of the Renaissance album. I really don't want to tell too many details because I want people to enjoy it for themselves. But she has some really great deep cuts and songs that you could tell that she's always wanted to sing them but never had the venue, or she wanted to sing them at a larger magnitude and they meant something different to her at her age. And now that she's in her 40s, the last time she did a tour, she was in her mid 30s. Okay, it was a Formation World Tour, which was her last solo. Okay, emphasis on solo tour in 7 years. So this was a pretty big damn deal. That show was in 2016. Yep, the Formation World Tour. It was a big deal. So I was happy. I mean, she's doing great work. These shows are incredible. They're beautiful. I enjoyed it. Getting home was a little bit of a hassle because everybody was trying to leave, right? So I made a point. Me and Jamarcus had ended up leaving out together because Gio and Josh lived closer to each other in Fishtown, so they was able to, I think, take the L or the train or whatever. I, on the other hand, we had to get Uber because we was all the way in West. But the thing was that initially those rates were like around $89. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. So we walked over to Casino Live, met up with my homegirl, and she was staying overnight there, who I was telling you about. She was staying overnight at the Casino Live. So we stayed there, we hung out, and then eventually, I want to say about 30 minutes later, the price went down to $18. I said, I'll take it. You know, I could have been a little petty and could have said, ooh, what about 23? But then, you know, another surge would have probably came up. I can't be greedy. So I just went ahead and moved forward with $18. And what an Uber ride that was, how memorable it was. The show was incredible, like I said. I was happy where I was. I really think if you are still questioning on getting tickets, or if you don't know if tickets are worth it, this is worth it. This is a tour that's worth it. This is a show that's worth it. I highly recommend it. Speaking of things I don't recommend, but this is not one of those shows. That's a show I do. Alicia Keys, what are you doing, sis? So Alicia Keys came to Wells Fargo Center on last Monday to perform at her tour, the Alicia tour, I suppose. I heard from people that were there and even about the show production team that it was a shit show because a lot of it was that, you know, they couldn't sell those tickets. She cannot do an arena versus a stadium. She can't do it like that anymore. She cannot pack an arena anymore. And clearly she can't pack a stadium. She didn't really have any notable like opening acts that people knew about or cared about. Her show, it was so bad that I heard that they were basically giving people free tickets to be on the floor. Some people were getting not free tickets on the floor. Allegedly, I heard they were giving free tickets out to community groups, and they were charging $65 for floor tickets. I was like, floor tickets for $65 at the Wells Fargo Center? But she needed it. She needed to do what she had to do. You know, she had to get it. But the rumor is that I heard is that the Alicia Keys team is blaming Erykah Badu's camp or whatever her parents for why the tickets didn't sell. There was multiple refunds. Well, here's what happened. Erykah Badu performed at the Man for Performing Arts, and basically the show was scheduled for that Sunday, but then they decided to scratch it and put it on to Monday as a reschedule because of the weather. Well, apparently a lot of fans, because Erica had a packed out show. Erica Badu had a packed out show at the Man. But apparently they were trying to claim that all those people went to Erica instead for sticking with, Alicia Keys. I think, in my opinion, if you have to deal with all of that, you got to do all of that. You're trying to point the finger. You're trying to blame different folks. Allegedly. That's always a sign that maybe you shouldn't have never done arenas. Maybe you should have did it at the Met. Okay, go to the Met. That's what Madonna did. That's what Lil Nas X did. Know your size, know your city. Some cities may like you, but they may not like you that much. It's obvious that Philadelphia does not like Alicia Keys in 2023 that much. They probably did once upon a time, but not for this. And I don't think Alicia has done a really good job marketing the album. Like when I look at something, I have to look up her stuff. I was like, you had all these past albums. Where was I? Where were you? What's going on here? So that was, my take on it all. But it seems like a lot of artists, who are doing tours, they just can't maintain. I keep telling people that what makes Beyonce different from your favorite pop stars, and trust me, when I wrote a review for Philly Mag about the concert, please check it out. I really gave it high praise. I really, really loved, what, Beyonce's doing here. I think artistically, she did some really great work. I say all this to say, though, that her, Renaissance World Tour is a spiritual revival America needs right now. That's how I feel about it. Like we do. We definitely do need to pay more focus and more attention to it and give it more life. That's just my take. So I have to say that, there's artists like Drake out here doing holograms, and I don't know why people are spending crazy money to go see him perform, but he'll be in Philly very soon. But one thing I want to give Beyonce credit for, and this is what I was also mentioning in my review, which people were in their feelings about, is that there's a lot of artists that put out messages that is focused centered on them. Not saying they're not charitable, not saying they're caring, but Beyonce makes something very different. She makes very political art that speaks to the type of marginalized experiences of her biggest fans. And it means something to go to a concert and not just enjoy the artist and the music and stand out, but to feel like you're in a safe space and feel affirmed in ways that only a tour like that can give you on that type of scale. Like, what does it feel like to see a bunch of people, 67,000 people in a room that are like literally, many of them to which they're cisgender, but you're seeing Black and brown people, queer people being their true selves, having the best time in their life, waving their fans, but they're amongst other straight people in that room that's like allowing them to exist and to be. That's special. Words can't describe that magic and that feeling. And then knowing that Beyonce was very intentional about how Black and how historical and how meaningful this was, and to bring us on that journey as she begins to expand her portfolio, her legendary work. I mean, this woman has over 25 years in the game. And I want to start earlier by saying that before we went to the concert, the Lit Brothers and I, we did what is called Baygate. Xfinity had a tailgate party. Great free food, great vibes. We had incredible drinks. And basically it was a tailgate party before the concert. When I was in that room, I saw people of various generations before my eyes, dancing and singing these songs and these lyrics. And the whole shuffle was just a shuffle of her songs over the years. I'm just like, damn, every single song, I know it either by heart or close to it. And I'm familiar about the song and the era and where they are. How many artists have that impact in that way, but also making art that is addressing systemic social issues that are relevant? Other artists are told, don't talk about politics. Don't be super political. Don't do that. And Beyonce has leaned into doing the complete opposite by really, pushing the envelope and really making us focus on who we are as people in the world. And it was just really refreshing given what has happened with the Supreme Court decisions and everything else. So big fan. Can't give it enough roses. I'm still basking in that glory, that joy and everything of it. So that's that. As far as other things in music going on, Olivia Rodrigo is number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. She has this new song out for a new album called Vampire. Olivia Rodrigo, when she first came out, I was kind of like iffy about her, but I do like this new Vampire song. It's another number one. She has had 3 number one debuts now. But her music is very, it's definitely younger and teenager-ish, but there's also elements to it that I can see why someone like me would be there. So it's promising. I'm looking forward to what her sophomore album is going to be like. Her first album was a hit. Sour was a hit. A lot of people liked it. But I think this album seems to be, she's taking some time away from the fame to really be grown. And, people wonder if she's going to be a one-hit wonder or one great album wonder. But just like Billie Eilish, she's proven that she has sustainability and lasting ability. It's not easy to have a really big hit album with like 2 major number one hits and then turn around and then produce another album. And the good thing is they didn't what I call Ariana Grande her, where they put her out and gave her album every single year. She really got a nice little gap to really hone in her craft and really focus on what kind of story she wants to tell with her music, because that's part of her brand. So shout out to her. Lil Uzi Vert has finally beat the rap album curse of 2023. It's been a half of the year, in the mid-mark of the year, and there has been no rap album that's been number one on the Billboard charts, which we talked about in the past. Well, Lil Uzi Vert's new album completely changes that. It's a great album. Well, I don't want to say it's great, but it's fun. He's fun. It's a different type of taste. I'll say that much. It's a very different type of taste. It's called the Pink Tape. It's called the Pink Tape, and he's got a nice following. He's a very, they are, I think they use they, them pronouns. Lil Uzi Vert is using they, them pronouns, even though they're cishet. Listen, who am I to judge? But they are, making the music for a certain generation. I mean, their music is speaking to a subset of people that is like my brother's age. It's not necessarily me, but, he's 27. He was born in 95. He'll be 28 actually. So he's a millennial, I believe. Yeah, he's a millennial, I believe. He's going to be turning 28. So he's like right there on that cusp between millennial and Gen Zer, it seems like. But, Samir Baizil Woods is his name. Samir Baizil Woods. What an interesting name. He's doing his thing. So congrats. Now, TV. So much to say about TV. Been watching Bad Boys Texas. I'm kind of ready for it to wrap up, which I think it is very soon, because, Jocelyn Hernandez, who is problematic. I don't know. Jocelyn's Cabaret, New York is coming. And, Baddies East is coming. This is trash TV, okay? I know. It's trash TV, but it's TV nonetheless. Been watching Love and Hip Hop, of course. Been following the season. Season is going good. There's a nice buildup I'm feeling with this season. It's not reminding me of the first season, because the first 3 seasons are incredible. But it is giving me a nice subplot where I'm invested in multiple characters. Carly Red is finally meeting herself at the door. What I mean is that people are really calling Carly Red out for her nonsense. I do find Spice a little annoying this season so far. I find her a little bit whiny. She had a near-death life experience, and I get that. But it just seems like she goes back and forth between holding grudges with people that weren't there to, missing them when to patch things up. She's just seems to be all over the place. I think she's a talented artist. I just feel like I don't know if reality TV is a good look for her anymore. I think she needs to focus on her music. She's now Grammy nominated. I feel like she needs to not be on this show. But I think the coins are there and the money's there, so she likes it. And I think Love and Hip Hop wants to feel like they made a star. But Spice was already a star before Love and Hip Hop. So I don't know if Mona Scott can claim that. But what I will say is that I just feel like she's at a point where you shouldn't be on this show anymore. Like, if you're really out here killing it, I just feel like this is the type of show for B's D-list celebrities' careers to die and to become this. Like, Young Jock isn't making any more music. Even though his previous music used to be really good, he's just out here just playing around. He's more of his reality star, like him and Lil Scrappy. I would even say that Lil Scrappy isn't making music anymore. Maybe he is. Maybe people are seeing him on tour. I don't know who's into that music. But I say all this to say that they've spent more years on reality TV than actually being recording artists. So they're no longer even known for what they was known for. Like Young Jock is no longer known as being Young Jock, the rapper who made It's Going Down. Young Jock is now more so known for his antics on Love and Hip Hop. And I say the same thing about Lil Scrappy. Like, he had some great little trill songs or whatever from Atlanta and all that. But now I feel like he has only just been dating multiple people and being caught up in scandal. Okay, so we know he was with Diamond, then he was with Erica, then he was with Shay for 5 seconds. Now he's with Bambi. It's been like 4 women in music. Like, we're just following his little crazy love story rather than actually into the music he's had in recent years. I don't even know what kind of music he could be producing. But I still had to say that it's a good show. There's all these different cast members. Erica Banks is on this season. You know, she's the one who had the busted net, the busted challenge dance. That girl, she's now on the show, and she's quite spicy and quite interesting. And then also there is this Jessica White model character, whatever. She dated Nick Cannon, and you know, I was a little hard on her initially because I just felt like, ugh, here this girl goes trying to act like, oh, you know, she's building a name off of this relationship that he never really publicly claimed like that. And she claims she's been here with for like 8 years on and off. I'm like, girl, what has been going on? You ain't seen the babies and everything? Well, I must say that this recent episode that just aired surprised me because she talked about having fertility issues. She has some issues with cysts on her ovaries or something like that. But it's an issue with her reproductive system, and she's having a hard time being able to produce children. And she's emotional about it because the man that she was with at the time, which was Nick Cannon allegedly, she's like, I'm with this man. He's sleeping with me. He's supposed to be my man, and we can't get a baby. He can't get me pregnant, but he's leaving me and getting other women pregnant because they had like an open relationship. So he's getting all these other women pregnant around her while she can't get pregnant, or she's having fertility issues. That was heartbreaking to hear. That was devastating to hear. Like, wow. And like, it made me, empathy through the roof for her. But it's just like, men are so fucked up. So like, you're with this woman in this committed relationship. You have this open relationship. She's out here, y'all sleeping together. You're out here sleeping with other women. You're out here having babies with other women. Meanwhile, she's not really doing that much herself, which is why I don't really consider this to be, in my opinion, ethical, monogamy or whatever they want to call it, unmonogamy, non-monogamy. I don't know. I just feel like this is just a really fucked up situation that she was in, and like how Nick did her. But I'm happy she broke away from it, and she got her confidence back to a certain extent. She's trying to do music. I don't really know what her singing is like. I don't know if she's just in the studio because she feel like that's the only place she can be, for real, for real. I just don't know. I just think that she should stick to modeling, or if she can sing, let's hear it, because we haven't heard anything from her lately. It's just been all about her talking about music and her voice. And it's like, well, then can you sing a song? So we'll see. Other shows that I watched this week that I was really feeling and finally watched, I'm a Virgo, which is an incredible production. It's on Amazon. It's by Boots Riley, who did Sorry to Bother You, which was with Lakeith Stanfield. If you've not seen Sorry to Bother You, please watch it. It's an incredible social satire. He's incredible with his satire films and shows. I'm a Virgo is a show. It is really like 8 episodes, 30 minutes apiece. Very easy, a nice, cute little binge. But basically, it's a coming-of-age joyride of a film, of a show that is about Cootie, this 13-foot tall, like, teenager who escapes to experience the beauty and contradictions of the real world. He has friendships. He finds love. The sex scene of a 13-foot tall giant and the girl was one for the ages. I'm not going to talk about it, but the sex scene was like, oh my God, what is going on? He finds love, he navigates awkward situations, and he also encounters, his idol, which is named the Hero, which is interesting as hell. It's lots of surrealism. It's very black. It's very, very black. It's a comedy drama. It's got lots of political satire in it. I love it. Jarrell Jerome, who is an Emmy award-winning actor, who was last seen in When They See Us, which was a very dramatic show. And if you haven't watched it, don't watch it. If you have seen it, you're never going to want to see it again. It's very dramatic, but he's great in the film, but the movie is just
devastating. It's about the Central Park Five, and it's just brutal. His performance is incredible in it. But he's in this, and he just has a range. I think people want to talk about people say, I say he's like the Black Charlemagne, the Black Timothy Charmaine. I think he's like the Black Timothy, Charlotte or whatever his last name is. But he is a good actor, and he has that range. I see that range in him. And I thought about Timothy Chalamet because of like the different films that Timothy has done. He's been in a queer character, in Call Me by Your Name. He's been in Little Women. He's been in there's that movie that he was in with Steve Carell called Proud Boy. Not Proud Boy. I know it wasn't me that. I want to know what it is, because it's what was the name of that production? It was called the rumor, sidebar, while I'm figuring out what this movie is called, there is a rumor that him and Kylie Jenner are apparently dating. I hope that's not true. I hope that's not true, because that would be just devastating. But again, we've seen worse. I mean, he's a young actor, maybe he is, but yeah, I think there's been a lot of interesting films that have taken place. And I think Jerome Jerome is a great actor. So he was also in Moonlight, for those who remember. That was one of his first major roles. He was in Moonlight. He was the boy who betrayed his friend. The Chiron. He betrays him. Falls in love with some this how do I he likes some. They kind of have a dating thing going on. They didn't date. They kind of had a curiosity. I call it a curiosity. It's like they were young. They kissed. The boy, if you see Moonlight, you know what I'm talking about. They kissed. Then the next day he, bullies him, and basically he was horrible trade. The film that I'm talking about is Beautiful Boy that he was in. It was called Beautiful Boy. Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet play in Beautiful Boy, which came out like 5 years ago. So it came out 5 years ago. So it's been a while. But that was such a great film, and a lot of people thought that Timothée Chalamet was going to get an Oscar nomination. I thought he would. Best Supporting Actor. It's really about this son struggling with addiction. His young son who is having drug abuse. It's a very dramatic, serious film, but also a very timely film. And a lot of people didn't watch it, but I really encourage people to give it a shot, because it was a very special film, and I really thought it had the potential to do more. But a couple Golden Globe nominations, some Critics' Choice Awards, some BAFTAs and all that. But Charlamagne should have really gotten an Oscar nomination. I was really heartbroken when that didn't happen. But yes. So, anywho, I'm a Virgo is great. Survival of the Thickest came on Netflix. If you have not seen it, you are required to see it. It's required viewing. So, for those who have not heard about this show, it just came out on Netflix. Watched it, binged it. Really nice, episodic. Mini. Like it's a series. I don't know if it's gonna get renewed. But maybe with you all's help, it can be great. Great Afro Latino energy. Lots of colors and shades, lots of black folks. Tasha Smith is in it. It's dope. It's super dope. The lead actress, Michelle Butois, I ruin names, but she plays Mavis Beaumont, but her real name is Michelle Buteau. I think it's Buteau. But she's incredible in this, and I'm excited. I think the show can open a lot of doors, and it's done really well, and very funny and very real, and just a great production about body and image and relationship and love life and full characters. It's so timely. So let's talk about what's been timely. Emmy nominations, because this has been I have a love-hate relationship with these Emmy nominations. I feel so many different ways about it. Let me just address the elephant in the room. There is some lack of diversity. There were no black actors nominated in any of the major acting categories at all. There were black women, for sure, but no black men, like no black male actors. So that was a red flag for me. Not really a fan of that. I'm just like, this year there was so many great black men in acting, actors that gave incredible performances that just should have been nominated. And I'm just sitting here like, what are we doing? I mean, but part of the issue too was that a lot of black shows. So there was, okay, so let me be clear. There were some black male actors like James Tyler Williams in Abbott Elementary got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy. But outside of like the network show like that, everything else was like up in the air. So let me break this down. There were lots of black shows that were eligible that were snubbed. We knew P-Valley was going to be hard, but you got P-Valley, Bel Air, all these other performances, nothing nominated. Mostly dominated by network TV and Netflix and streaming. A lot of Apple stuff got nominated. There were some major snubs, across the board. I was surprised by what got snubbed, some of them. But a lot of stuff, people thought that, people were upset. Like, I mean, for starters, Reservoir Dogs did not get nominated. Nico Parker, who's a young black woman who was in Last of Us, people just thought she should have got nominated. Snubbed. Emma D'Arcy in House of Dragons was snubbed. The Great was snubbed. Daisy Jones and the Six, some of those aspects of it was snubbed. Some nominations did come from it, but others didn't. But like The English got snubbed. Reservation Dogs got snubbed. Like I said, Snowfall. People really thought that Damson Idris was going to pull off a nomination. Of course he did not. Harrison Ford for Shrinking, which I thought could be a potential thing, did not happen. There was just a lot of weird snubs. One of the weirdest snubs, which was not acting, was that Abbott Elementary last year, after winning, Quinta winning the big one, right? After winning the Emmy last year for comedy writing, right? It wasn't even nominated this year. That's just baffling to me. As far as snubs go, Atlanta got snubbed completely, which people were upset about. Surprises, Obi-Wan Kenobi getting nominated, that was a surprise. Jury Duty, which so anybody who is on Amazon or anybody who's been on Amazon or know anything about Amazon's free ad-supported sister service, there is a channel called Freevee, which is formerly known as IMDb TV. Well, there's a show called Jury Duty, and I've been watching this for a while. I didn't never talk about it on the show because I just was like, I don't know if anybody's watching this show but me. But the shit is fucking funny and hilarious. And I was gagging when I saw that it was nominated for an Emmy. It's incredible though. Good show. Very funny. James Marsden was nominated for the Best Supporting Actor. It also got nomination for comedy, or Outstanding Comedy Series. But Jury Duty was really good, and I'm so happy that happened. Kerry Russell for The Diplomat. I saw that coming. What a great surprise. But Reservation Dogs, again, got snubbed. I was not surprised by Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face. But, there was other snubs that were just weird. Lots of black actors just not getting their love. Really happy about, Abbott Elementary, of course, Shirley Ralph, Janelle James, Quinta Brunson, James Tyler Williams all got nominated. So I'm not at all bothered about it, given everything that's going on. But other interesting snubs, people were surprised that Steve Martin did not get nominated for Only Murders in the Building. It's even, Selena Gomez. People are shocked about Kevin Costner for Yellowstone. Helen Mirren in 1923. Imelda Staunton, 67 for The Crown. That was a big shocker because her predecessors, Claire Foyle and Olivia Colman, won. But it's interesting, this season of The Crown did not have the same level of love. It's been interesting to see that. People are talking about Tony Shalhoub and the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I mean, this is the final season. I'm not too surprised. But Giancarlo Esposito, who's always been nominated, was not nominated this time. He's a black actor. So there's been some interesting snubs that just really are rubbing me the wrong way. The Emmys are going to Emmy, but it's been interesting to see it. People were talking about Harry and Meghan. They thought that Harry and Meghan was going to get Emmy nominations. Look like Hollywood is not really feeling it like that for them anymore. Not too surprised. Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, did not get any Emmy love. But I think that the reason why is because Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power show, when you look at the fact that there is the House of Dragon, which is the other show, they're too similar to people that I don't think that they were ever going to get all these nominations because they're almost very similar. You look at like a show like Bad Sisters, that didn't get as much love as people thought it could have been. The Great on Hulu was just not, people were not feeling it like that. Elizabeth Olsen, was not crazy about the Love and Death role, which everybody thought Love and Death was going to be a big one sweeper. But my biggest shocker had to be Rachel Weisz. Remember I told you about Dead Ringers and how she really killed it. No nomination for her. Now, I will say this for surprise. Dominique Fishback from Swarm, which I really did not like the entire project, and I don't like, Donald Glover, as much touching these type of things. She got nominated for Best Lead Actress. And you know what? She might pull a surprise win. So there's a lot of opportunities there. But, we got to stay tuned. And to be honest, the Emmy's supposed to be on September 18th. Right now, the 75th Primetime Emmy Awards is, kind of, in the air right now. Speculation is that TV stations are trying to move it to January. Some people want in November. The strike is basically disrupting the awards flow because if the actors are on strike and the writers are on strike, you ain't got a fucking award show. And we've seen strikes disrupt award shows. I remember many years ago, like 10 years ago, the Golden Globes did not happen because there was a strike over there, the Hollywood Foreign Press and actor strike or whatever, and there was no actual televised awards. I remember one other year when the Golden Globes had drama with NBC. You remember they only announced the winners of the Golden Globes. I want to say last year, this year they had a Golden Globes, but last year they have a Golden Globes. So they was tweeting out the winners. There was actually no actual real formal award ceremony. So there is a lot of nerves about if people are going to be able to get their acceptance speeches or do it. But they apparently are going to do an award show. It's the 75th anniversary of the Primetime Emmys. So they have to do a in-person situation. However, when is that going to happen? We don't know. If Hollywood wants to get their act together, they got to address the strike. That's just what it's giving. So yeah, that's everything for me this week. I forgot to talk about a restaurant that me and Mr. Johnson went to at the very end of the weekend, Alice. And I was so caught up in talking about everything else that I forgot about this shout out. Alice is this restaurant we went to. A lot of people, it's open. It's an Italian market. It just opened not too long ago. I have so many thoughts about this restaurant. I like it. I love it. I love it. It's a very pretty place. The food looks like fun. The portions are phenomenal. It's giving good taste. I really, really love what I was seeing there. They serve dinner. So let me just start you off there. This is not a lunch spot. This is a dinner spot. Wednesdays through Sundays, 4:30 to 10. They don't play any games over there. Love the silky salt oysters they had, which were really good. They had some really good oysters. That was cute. They have these non-charcoal grilled flatbread, but we did the salmon crudo. And we did the carpaccio, which was really good. And then we had the oysters. That was what we had for appetizers. Now, for the main course, and again, you can go on my Instagram and check out my photos and check out the food there, of course. Always on my Instagram. But for our main courses, we did all kinds of stuff. We had this delicious double cut Berkshire pork chop, which was just to die for. We had a lamb rack, and we had a striped bass. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. And it was phenomenal. Our side dishes, we had different side dishes. The baby carrots were phenomenal. The baby broccoli was great. The Kensington Square mushrooms, phenomenal. They just had so many great bites and side dishes. Just really highly recommended. Their cocktails are great. They have a very, very meaningful cocktail list. They have lots of great wines and beers. There was a great cocktail I remember on the menu, several actually that I liked. There was one called the Pink Zamban, which is vodka, strawberry, rhubarb, which was really good, like a really great summery vodka strawberry cocktail. Really loved that. There was another one I'm thinking about. It was called a Loveful, which had kava, a charred melon shrub, and Saint Germain. Oh, that was so good. Really, really loved that one. And then the wine was phenomenal as well. They had lots of wine options. So you should I would say, just ask the chef if you're a red wine gal like me, what you would pair it with. But it's in South Philly. It's around Christian Street. But it was pretty damn good. Really was impressed and really loved the good eatings and the good eats and the good bites for sure. So highly recommended. But yeah. So what's going on for me this week? Lots of things. I'm starting at Eater, as you all know. Getting into, some deep dive investigative political reporting that you won't see until very much in the fall. Other things. Oh, I can't say certain things. You'll find out this week. But one big thing I'm going to tell you about, I will be in Indianapolis this upcoming weekend for Society of Professional Journalists. They're doing a future leadership academy. I was one of the people that was, included and accepted into this program. And so it's a leadership training for leaders across the country in journalism, media, that are doing leadership in media. So it's not just like commercial work. It's leadership in the nonprofit sense, like running organizations. I'm the president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, like working with media leaders to be better, stronger advocates and tap into our leadership skills, and also encourage us to step forward and run for other positions within our respective organizations. So it's a great space. It's a great place. I'm going to be with journalists from all over the country. So it's going to be really fun to just network and connect with people. And it's Indianapolis. I haven't been there in a while. So it's going to be kind of cool to, kind of kick my feet up and be there for a couple of days and, get out of Philly for a little bit and enjoy myself. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so this is a great week. We're in mid-July and so many great opportunities are there. And all I have left to say is as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.